Chapter 1178. Ning Cheng raised his hand and tore open the nine-petal lotus throne's protective shield, which was on the verge of shattering, before a jade strip fell down. Not waiting for the icy cold to reduce the jade strip into nothingness, Ning Cheng raised his hand and swept away the jade strip. At the same time, he also put away the nine-petal lotus platform that had lost the support of its Tao charm. As his spiritual consciousness seeped into the jade strip, Ning Cheng heard Ruoxi's voice. "My name is Ji Ruoxi, and my other name is Ji Shi. I come from the sacred Tao world's goddess sacred sect. The nine-petal lotus throne is my most cherished possession, and it has my soul imprint on it. If Tao friend is willing to return it to me, the immortal goddess sacred sect is willing to give you any resources you want. At the same time, I owe you my life. The sacred Tao realm is very far away. Tao friend can return the nine-petal lotus throne to Pil Sage Ning Cheng in the Grand Essence realm. Ning Cheng is a primordial Tao Pil Sage, so he will definitely send some Tao pills that fellow Taoist needs first." Ning Cheng touched his nose. When he and Ruoxi met, he was still far from being a Tao Essence Pil Saint. Ruoxi's words didn't mean that she believed that he could definitely advance to the Tao Essence Pil Saint realm, but rather to increase the temptation. Since Ruoxi had branded the nine-petal lotus throne with a soul brand, ordinary people wouldn't be able to refine it even if they obtained it. Forcefully refining it would only result in a backlash or the destruction of the nine-petal lotus platform. It was very difficult to destroy a treasure like the nine-petal lotus throne, and the possibility of a backlash was even higher. Only a holy emperor, who was much more powerful than Ruoxi, could refine the soul brand and turn the nine-petal lotus throne into their own. One could say that Ruoxi knew that the nine-petal lotus throne would be difficult for others to use, which was why she left behind this jade strip. Back then, Feng Xian's mountain and river dipper had only left behind a trace of spiritual force imprint, and he had been unable to refine it in a short period of time. In the end, he had to ask a Tao integration powerhouse to help him remove it. His spiritual consciousness was stronger than that of ordinary primordial chaos sacred emperors. What Ruoxi left behind wasn't a spiritual sense imprint, but a soul brand that was even more difficult to remove than a spiritual sense imprint. Ning Cheng guessed that Ruoxi still had the thought of retrieving the nine-petal lotus throne. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh. Since Ruoxi was fine, he felt relieved. Not to mention anything else, in the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond, if not for Ruoxi, he and Yan Ji would have already died. What's more, for Ruoxi to fall to this point, he couldn't say that he had nothing to do with it. After all, he was the one who lent the child talisman to Ruoxi. If he wasn't wrong, there should be a problem with the repaired heaven-opening talisman. Initially, Tian Mu Wan and the blue-robed girl had also used the repaired opening heaven talisman's child talisman. However, the result was that they could not return to the place they wanted to go and ended up stranded in the Fallen Wood Temple. This time, Ruoxi ended up trapped in the extremely cold space outside the Grand Essence realm. If someone said that there was no problem with the child talisman, Ning Cheng wouldn't believe it. Ning Cheng shook his head, took out the nine-petal lotus seed, wrapped it in layers of restrictions, and sent it into the mysterious yellow bead. He decided that when he went to the divine Tao world in the future, he would go to the immortal goddess sacred sect and return Ruoxi's nine-petal lotus seed to her. Ning Cheng didn't care how Ruoxi left. What he cared about now was why this space felt so cold. The Grand Essence realm's laws were already broken to begin with, and this freezing cold would only make the cracks grow bigger and bigger. As long as he didn't repair the Grand Essence realm, this place would continue to collapse. Since he had come here, he naturally wanted to see what was going on in this icy space. Ning Cheng raised his hand and brought out the celestial river flame, attaching it to his wrist. Once the freezing cold grew too terrifying and the everlasting blue thunder fort couldn't block it, the celestial river flame could continue to resist. Fortunately, it was Ruoxi. If not for Ruoxi, he wouldn't have known that the Grand Essence realm, a place with such weak laws, had such a big hidden danger. When Ning Qing thought of Ruoxi again, his footsteps suddenly stopped. Ruoxi was Ji Ruoxi, and she said that she was still called Ji Shi. When he went to the Eternal Night Domain, didn't Gonyezhua, the owner of the Purple Yin Spirit Spring, say that Ji Shi had taken away the Purple Yin Spirit Spring bead? Thinking of this, Ning Qing completely understood. It turned out that Ji Shi, the one he was looking for, had always been with him. At the same time, he also knew why Ji Shi went to the 9 Revolutions sacred Tao Pond. It was because her Purple Yin Spirit Spring bead was taken away by the 9 Revolutions sacred Tao Pond that she wanted to get it back. Understanding this, Ning Qing suddenly looked forward to Ruoxi not snatching back the Purple Yin Spirit Spring bead. Although the 9 Revolutions sacred Tao Pond was abominable, Ning Qing knew that the Purple Yin Spirit Spring bead was meant for Qianghua. Ning Qing guessed that Ruoxi shouldn't have snatched back the Purple Yin Spirit Spring bead. If she had snatched it away, Qianghua wouldn't have recovered, let alone gone to the Grand Change Realm. Ning Qing breathed in a sigh of relief, and his entire body felt a little more spirited. In any case, the Purple Yin Spirit Spring bead was Ruoxi's. He would have to thank Ruoxi when he saw her in the future. Turning around again, Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness didn't dare to stretch out too far. He just moved forward in the direction of the cold. Half a day later, the everlasting blue thunder fort protecting Ning Qing's body had frozen into an ice city. The lightning arcs within the blue thunder fort could only flicker under the ice. As Ning Qing went deeper and deeper, the ice grew thicker and thicker. As the cold seeped in, even with Ning Qing's Tao essence cultivation, he gradually couldn't resist this extreme chill. Ning Qing gave out a sigh before using the Celestial River armor to protect his entire body. The Celestial River armor had already evolved into a sacred flame. So after Ning Qing brought it out, the cold instantly blocked it. The ice outside the everlasting blue thunder fort also began to melt. With the cold blocked, Ning Qing sped up. A day later, the ice outside the everlasting blue thunder fort, melted by the Celestial River flame, once again froze the blue thunder fort. Not only that, but the cold once again penetrated the everlasting blue thunder fort. A thin layer of ice crystals gradually formed on the outside of the Celestial River flame. The cold finally penetrated through the Celestial River flame, tore through Ning Qing's clothes, and stabbed into his body. Ning Qing shuddered. He felt sure that if he dared to continue, he would freeze to death in this place. Even a Tao essence cultivation couldn't play a role in this place. Master, this kind of passive defense isn't my strength. Should I blast it out and turn all the cold in this place into a mist? The Celestial River flame also felt sullen. Resisting the cold wasn't its strength in the first place. If it went on like this, it might as well turn into a sea of fire and burn down this place completely. Ning Qing stopped and sent out a thought to the Celestial River flame, this place is not an ordinary cold. Even if you erupt, you certainly can't destroy the cold in this place. The cold in this place has a strong Tao charm law aura. You can even say that the cold in this place is more like a Tao charm spirit technique. Then what should we do? Although the Celestial River flame had a fire spirit consciousness, it wasn't used to coming up with ideas. Don't worry, I'll try to cultivate it. Ning Qing knew that if he wanted to move forward, he had to find a way to deal with this cold. Otherwise, he would have to retreat and leave this place first. The reason why he wanted to give it a try was that he had some experience with thunder tribulations. During the thunder tribulations, he could absorb thunder source attributes because he had a thunder spiritual root. At the same time, he also had an ice attributed spiritual root. At this moment, he wanted to try to absorb the ice source in this place through the mysterious yellow formless. As the mysterious yellow formless started to operate, Ning Qing quickly discovered that he couldn't absorb the ice source in this place at all. Even if he couldn't move forward, because he stayed in this place for too long, the extreme cold penetrated through the Celestial River flame and directly tore through Ning Qing's skin. Ning Qing sucked in a breath of cold air. Just how powerful was this cold? He was a Tao Essence Holy Emperor and a body-forging expert with a full-circle starry sky body. Even with the everlasting blue thunder fort and the celestial river flame, he couldn't block this extreme cold. This cold was just too terrifying. As the cold continued to tear through Ning Cheng's skin and penetrate into Ning Cheng's bones, Ning Cheng kept retreating while operating the mysterious yellow body forging cultivation method. Kaka. Sounds of bones breaking emerged, and the blood oozing out of the cracked skin quickly turned into blood ice. Ning Cheng didn't feel surprised but happy instead. He didn't continue to retreat but operated the body forging cultivation method even more crazily. Previously, after his body forging reached the full circle starry sky body, he couldn't make any further progress. No matter where he went for body forging, the result was the same. But now, he found that the cold here could help his corporeal body reach the full circle of the starry sky body. The everlasting blue thunder fort blocked the first layer of cold, while the celestial river flame blocked the second layer of cold. Ning Cheng felt a barrier in his body forging. That is, the sharpness of his body forging had been blocked. The coldness of his body forging technique didn't have any sharpness. After understanding this, Ning Cheng gritted his teeth and put away the everlasting blue thunder fort along with the celestial river flame. Kaka kaka kaka. After Ning Cheng put away the two defenses, the horrifying cold tore through Ning Cheng's skin like a sharp axe. It then cut through Ning Cheng's bones and ice. A cold chill directly froze Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng did not even have the opportunity to fall to the ground. In just a breath's time, Ning Cheng turned into an ice sculpture, surrounded by endless ice law Dao charm. If someone was here, they wouldn't be able to feel Ning Cheng's aura. At this moment, Ning Cheng looked like he had died, without any signs of life. If not for the cold freezing his body, he might have already fallen to the ground. Ning Cheng's six senses were completely shut down. At this moment, only the mysterious yellow body forging cultivation method ran wildly within his body, constantly quenching his bones, meridians, and corporeal body. As time passed by slowly, Ning Cheng's ice-sealed body finally turned into a human-shaped outline. His flesh and blood froze into ice before slowly disappearing under the effects of the body forging cultivation method. His bones froze and cracked, but they also slowly disappeared under the effects of the body forging cultivation method. After an unknown amount of time, the blood that had frozen into nothingness in Ning Cheng's body began to regenerate, and his meridians also began to regenerate. The shattered bones also began to reform, and his bones turned even more crystal clear. Looking from the outside, the outline of the frozen humanoid figure remained the same, but under this frozen state, Ning Cheng's entire body was undergoing a thorough transformation. Flesh and blood regenerated, meridians, bones regenerated. Ning Cheng unconsciously felt his corporeal body's strength rise to another level. The ice origin essence Qi, which he couldn't absorb before, also turned into ice-type Dao charm laws under the effects of the mysterious yellow formless and entered Ning Cheng's body. Countless beasts fled. No matter how a saint king like Qiu Yusheng tried to suppress them, he was unable to stop this rout. The army of the Dao court that had been pursuing them had an imposing aura, and some of the older cultivators could hardly suppress the excitement in their hearts. In the past, when the demonic beasts launched the beast tide, the Grand Essence Realm's cultivators could only rely on the city's defensive arrays to resist the beast tide. Only when the demonic beasts obtained enough benefits would they retreat to the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Since when did human cultivators dare to act like this, to chase demonic beasts in the depths of the Grand Essence Demon Vein? This was something that he didn't even dare to dream of. Every cultivator who had fought against the beast tide sincerely thanked the Grand Essence Dao Court. Without the Grand Essence Dao Court, they wouldn't have been able to suppress the demonic beasts in the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Even if they resisted the demonic beasts in the Holy City, they still had to negotiate with the demonic beasts. Just when everyone's eyes turned red and wanted to kill more demonic beasts, the Dao Court's army issued an order to retreat. No one could understand such a military order. It stood to reason that they should have cleaned up the entire Grand Essence Demon vein in one fell swoop. Although no one understood it, no one dared to disobey the Dao Court's military order. The Dao Court's army, which was chasing the demonic beasts, stopped and began to retreat slowly. The Grand Essence Dao Court's encampment was now in the depths of the Grand Essence Demon vein. In the Grand Essence Dao Court's encampment, Zhu Fanghen asked in confusion, "Court Pillarly, at this time, as long as we take the army deep, we can quickly destroy all the forces of the Grand Essence Demon vein. Why did we stop?" Ning Qing wasn't in the Grand Essence Dao Court. The Grand Essence Dao Court didn't have any guards. Only Li Feng had the highest status. Li Feng didn't answer Zhu Fanghen's question directly. His gaze swept across the rest of the guards and saw that most of them had the same doubts. "Court pillars, Dao friends of the Grand Essence Dao Court. In fact, I also want to destroy the entire Grand Essence Demon vein in one fell swoop, but I can't do that." Li Feng's voice wasn't loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. Some people understood what Li Feng meant, but some didn't. Li Feng sighed, "The most terrifying thing about the Grand Essence Demon vein is the Grand Essence Demon vein's Demon City. The Grand Essence Demon City's defensive array formations aren't any worse than the Heaven Essence sacred cities. Moreover, the Grand Essence Demon vein has existed for so many years. Do you think it's just a fluke? If we really dare to suppress the Grand Essence Demon City, even if we win, we would suffer heavy losses." Everyone quieted down. No one thought that Li Feng was talking nonsense. Almost everyone knew about the Grand Essence Demon City in the depths of the Grand Essence Demon vein. Many top-grade treasures that couldn't be found in the Heaven Essence Sacred City could be purchased in the Grand Essence Demon City. Seeing that everyone understood what he meant, Li Feng nodded and continued, "Dao Lord's intention isn't to destroy the Grand Essence Demon vein and kill every demonic beast. Instead, he wants us to kill all the demonic beasts that dare to slaughter human cities and leave most of the ordinary demonic beasts alive. In the future, the Grand Essence Demon vein will become a trial ground for the disciples of the Grand Essence realm. Let's not talk about whether we can kill all the demonic beasts. Even if we kill all of them, it would cause a loss of balance. It's not necessarily a good thing for my Grand Essence Dao Court. What's more?" Li Feng paused for a moment before continuing, "What's more, Dao Lord mobilized us, but he hasn't shown up yet. We still have to wait here for Dao Lord's Dao Lord token." Everyone nodded. This time, when Ning Cheng's Dao Lord token arrived at the Heaven Essence Sacred City's Dao Court, the Grand Essence Dao Court responded immediately. Coupled with the Grand Essence Dao Court's current wealth, they dispatched the Grand Essence Dao Court's army in the shortest time possible. Everything went in an orderly manner, without any hesitation or impropriety. Only a few primordial essence holy emperors who knew about Li Feng's thoughts understood what Li Feng just said. One of the reasons was that Dao Lord Ning Qing didn't return. But another important reason was that the Grand Essence Demon vein had an existence that no one dared to provoke. Even if the Grand Essence Dao Court's army defeated the Grand Essence Demon vein's demon cultivators and demonic beasts, it wouldn't be easy to eradicate the Grand Essence Demon vein. If it weren't for the Grand Essence Dao Court's current cohesiveness and the existence of a Dao unification holy emperor like Chu Manha, Li Feng would have stopped the Dao Court's army from dispatching. But Li Feng also knew that the Grand Essence Demon vein's problem would be solved sooner or later. If it wasn't solved, it would become a big problem in the future. Even if the Grand Essence Demon vein's demonic beasts couldn't withstand a single blow, it was because they hadn't organized to form a real demonic beast army. Once they were organized, their combat power would definitely not be weaker than the Grand Essence Dao Court's army. If one day, the Grand Essence Dao Court's army was still confronting the Grand Change Dao Court's army, and the Grand Essence Demon vein's demonic beasts suddenly rioted, it would be a bad thing. So even though Ning Qing didn't know that the Grand Essence Demon vein had a powerful existence, Li Feng still agreed with Ning Cheng's decision to dispatch the Dao Court's army to deal with the Grand Essence Demon vein's demonic beasts. However, he quickly remembered his purpose for coming here. He hid that trace of disgust and hurriedly went forward to support the woman. Fei, I've been busy cultivating. It's been hard on you. Chapter 1180. No. Xian Fei quickly said. AI. Qiu Yusheng sighed and bent down to pick up Xian Fei's zither on the ground. Xian Fei saw Qiu Yusheng's frown and quickly asked, "Is there anything the Holy Emperor is worried about?" Qiu Yusheng hesitated for a while before saying, "AI, I'm afraid we won't be together for too long. The Grand Essence Dao Court army has entered the Grand Essence Demon Vein. I estimate that in 2 months, the Grand Essence Dao Court army will be able to suppress our entire demon city." The Grand Essence Dao Court army? Xian Fei asked in surprise. She had been living in seclusion and didn't know about the Grand Essence Dao Court army. Qiu Yusheng nodded, yes, Grand Essence not only established the Dao Court army but also a cruel and murderous Dao monarch. This Dao monarch takes pleasure in killing my demon vein's demon race. Over the past few years, the Grand Essence Dao Court army has killed many of my demon vein's demon beasts. How many years has the Grand Essence Dao Court army invaded the demon vein? Xian Fei was even more shocked. Qiu Yusheng said with more sorrow, yes, I didn't tell you about it in order not to worry you. Why? Xian Fei was even more puzzled. In her impression, it was always the demon beasts of the Grand Essence Demon Vein who attacked human cities. When did human cultivators attack the Grand Essence Demon Vein? Qiu Yusheng sighed again, I can only blame myself for raising a useless son. Bei Feng usually behaved well, but his biggest problem was that he cared too much about women. He took a fancy to a woman in Broken Thatch Divine City. You also know that most human female cultivators are greedy for the resources of my demon vein. Plus, I doted on Bei Feng and gave him a lot of treasures. He used those treasures to win the woman's heart. Unexpectedly, the Dao monarch of the Grand Essence Dao Court also happened to pass by Broken Thatch Divine City and took a fancy to the woman. At this point, Qiu Yusheng shook his head, you should have guessed it later. Bei Feng wasn't the Dao monarch's opponent and was killed by the Dao monarch. After that Dao monarch killed Bei Feng and snatched the woman, he still wasn't reconciled and even mobilized the Grand Essence Dao Court army to destroy my Grand Essence Demon Vein. Bei Feng died, but the countless demon beasts of my Grand Essence Demon Vein are innocent, sigh. They're going too far. Xian Fei yelled angrily. Qiu Yusheng said helplessly, I know, but who told them to be stronger than my Grand Essence Demon Vein? Sage Emperor, there's no need to worry. Once I tidy up, we'll go see my mother. I believe that my mother will definitely care about this matter, Xian Fei said firmly. Qiu Yusheng said hesitantly, but, my mother-in-law, Xian Fei's tone softened once more. I will explain everything clearly. Don't worry, Saint Emperor. What's more, if the human cultivator Dao Court's army invades my Grand Essence Demon Vein, my mother will never sit back and watch. Qiu Yusheng was silent for a while before he nodded. All right, I'll wait for you outside. Thank you for your hard work, Fei. Xian Fei smiled faintly. Between the Heavenly Emperor and I, there's no need to talk about hard work. You're treating me as an outsider. After watching Qiu Yusheng walk out of the courtyard, Xian Fei turned around. A young girl in a red dress came before Xian Fei and muttered, humph, not a single word of truth. Xian Fei sighed. Yu Hong, even if the Heavenly Emperor doesn't speak the truth, he's still the Heavenly Emperor. How could Xian Fei not know that Qiu Yusheng didn't speak the truth? What kind of person was Qiu Beifeng? She also knew about it. A person like Qiu Beifeng would only slaughter a city if he fancied a woman. He wouldn't take out resources to please that female cultivator. It's just that she knew that whether it was for Qiu Yusheng or not, the Grand Essence Demon Vein must not be destroyed. The demon city must not be captured by the Grand Essence Dao Court's army. Otherwise, the Grand Essence Demon clan would be doomed. Many people regarded the Grand Essence Demon Vein and the Grand Essence Demon Domain as the same. In fact, the Grand Essence Demon Domain included two places. One was the Grand Essence Demon Vein, and the other was the Immortal Ring Island. In the depths of the Grand Essence Demon Vein, there was a vast lake with a huge island in the center of the lake. This island was called the Immortal Ring Island. The island master of the Immortal Ring Island was the only Tao Perfection Tao Lord of the Grand Essence Demon Domain, Tao Lord Ao Wu. Qiu Yusheng, the Holy Emperor of the Grand Essence Demon Domain, could manage all the demonic beasts and demonic cultivators in the Grand Essence Demon Domain, but he couldn't manage the Immortal Ring Island. Not only could he not manage the Immortal Ring Island, but every time he came to the Immortal Ring Island, he had to act like a grandson. Because of this, Qiu Yusheng didn't want to come to the Immortal Ring Island. "Since you're here, come on in. Don't be like a cowardly tortoise." Qiu Yusheng stood on the periphery of the Immortal Ring Island and hesitated when a cold voice suddenly appeared in his ears. Qiu Yusheng quickly bowed and said, "Yes." He didn't dare to call her mother-in-law or mother queen. Otherwise, he would be thrown out immediately. After speaking, he didn't dare to enter first. Instead, he said to Xian Feifei next to him, "Feifei, you go first. I'll follow behind you." Xian Feifei smiled slightly and didn't refuse. She stepped into the Immortal Ring Island's defensive array first. The Grand Essence Demon Vein was originally more beautiful than most places in the Grand Essence realm. But after arriving at the Immortal Ring Island, one would see that compared to the Immortal Ring Island, the most beautiful place in the Grand Essence Demon Vein was just a so-so. If one had to explain what an immortal domain was, then one would have to come to the Immortal Ring Island to take a look. All kinds of strange divine grasses, flowers, and butterflies filled the air. The entire place exuded a fresh aura that refreshed people's spirits. Qiu Yusheng and the others passed through a sea of flowers, a bamboo forest, and a divine grass garden before arriving in front of a hall that looked like it was shrouded in clouds. After Qiu Yusheng bowed in front of the hall, he dared to follow Xian Feifei into the hall. An extremely beautiful woman sat in the middle of the hall, with dozens of maids standing on both sides. If Ning Cheng was here, he would have noticed that this extremely beautiful woman looked a bit like Ning Ruoqing. Qiu Yusheng didn't dare to look at her and quickly bowed. "Yusheng greets Island Master, Tao Monarch Ao Wu." He sighed in his heart. His mother was so beautiful, but the daughter she gave birth to was so ugly. As long as Xian Feifei had 1% of this woman's beauty, he wouldn't have to neglect Xian Feifei and make Tao Monarch Ao Wu unhappy. Feifei greets mother. Xian Feifei also quickly bowed. Tao Monarch Ao Wu nodded to Xian Feifei and said, "Feifei, you've worked hard all these years. Come and sit next to your mother." Xian Feifei walked to the beautiful woman's side and sat down quietly. "Speak, what's the matter?" After Xian Feifei sat down, Tao Monarch Ao Wu asked Qiu Yusheng in a cold voice. Qiu Yusheng quickly replied, "Feifei. If you have something to say, just say it. If you beat around the bush again, then get the hell out." Hearing Qiu Yusheng still beating around the bush, Tao Monarch Ao Wu sneered in disgust. Qiu Yusheng gritted his teeth, "Tao Monarch, please understand. The Grand Essence Tao Court's army has massacred countless demonic beasts and demonic cultivators from my demon lineage. If we don't resist, I'm afraid that my Grand Essence demon lineage's demon city will turn to dust." Tao Monarch Ao Wu didn't show any surprise. Apparently, she already knew what Qiu Yusheng said. Seeing that Tao Monarch Ao Wu didn't speak, Qiu Yusheng didn't dare to say anything. After half an incense stick worth of time, Tao Monarch Ao Wu said calmly, "In that case, let's gather the demonic beasts of the Grand Essence demon lineage and establish the Grand Essence demon lineage's Tao Court. I will personally lead the Tao Court's army and slaughter all the human cities south of the Grand Essence domain. In the future, there will be no more human cultivators in this place, only my demon race. Xiao Yusheng felt overjoyed when he heard those words. He quickly bowed and said, Tao Monarch, Xiao Yusheng is willing to wave the flag and cheer for Tao Monarch. Tao Monarch Ao Wu never liked to manage things. Even if she established the Tao court, Xiao Yusheng was still the one in charge. Xiao Yusheng knew this better than anyone else. What a powerful ice pattern Tao charm. If we didn't have ice-based spiritual roots, this place wouldn't have been able to hold on. Even so, we won't be able to go much further, a man whose entire body was frozen in ice said with difficulty. There was a woman beside this man. This woman wore a white dress. Unlike the man, this woman seemed to have assimilated with the ice patterns. She even turned into one of the ice patterns. She looked much calmer than the disheveled man. Senior apprentice brother Yun Jian, if it weren't so cold here, that thing wouldn't have waited for us to take it. The woman said calmly. The man nodded, yes, junior apprentice sister Yuan Bing is right. We have ice-based spiritual roots and are all at the late-stage primordial chaos realm. There aren't many people who meet these conditions. The woman was about to speak when she suddenly exclaimed, how can there be such a big iceberg here? It doesn't make sense. The man saw the ice mountain at the same time and was equally shocked. After observing the ice mountain for a while, he said, Junior sister Yuan Bing, did you notice that the ice elemental Tao runes on the surface of the ice mountain are even more intense? These ice patterns are condensed from ice elemental nomological Tao runes. Could it be that the thing is here? The woman shook her head, that's impossible. That thing is at least 10,000 miles away from here. We can't get close so quickly. However, this iceberg is a bit weird. My spiritual consciousness can't sweep in, and the ice-based Tao charm keeps condensing on it. Wait, let me break this iceberg first. The man raised his hand and brought out a giant hammer Dharma treasure. Don't be anxious. The woman placed her hand on the huge iceberg. Then, her expression changed drastically and she hurriedly let go of her hand. What's wrong, junior apprentice sister Yuan Bing? Asked the man hurriedly. The woman said with a worried look, the ice-based Tao charm contained in this iceberg is crisscrossing and even fusing with the spatial nomological Tao charm. The deeper we go, the stronger the nomological aura. In addition, there's also a strong enlightened aura that's a little strange. If someone doesn't die here and can even gain insight into the nomological Tao charm, that would be too terrifying. The man's expression also became cautious. Junior apprentice sister Yuan Bing, be careful. No matter what it is, wait until I break this iceberg first. After saying that, the giant hammer rose and swept up terrifying Tao charm powers before striking the iceberg. Chapter 1181. Boom! The giant hammer weapon slammed into the ice pattern Tao runes outside the iceberg, causing the Tao runes to explode. The entire iceberg trembled, but no cracks appeared. What a powerful nomological force! The man exclaimed and raised the giant hammer again. Ning Cheng, who was still in an epiphany, was awakened by the loud roar. His spiritual consciousness immediately scanned a man and a woman outside the iceberg. Ning Cheng was furious. If no one had disturbed him, he would have most likely reached the primordial chaos realm. However, he was interrupted like this, and he was stuck at the half-step primordial chaos realm. This interruption made him feel extremely unhappy. With a wave of his hand, he changed into a set of clean clothes. The power of Tao runes circulated around his body, and the iceberg Tao runes wrapped around him instantly exploded. Boom boom boom. The huge roar was many times louder than the sound of the man hitting the iceberg with the ice hammer. The man's giant hammer weapon was still in the air when he saw the iceberg in front of him suddenly explode. A young man stood in the middle of the exploding iceberg and stared at him with an angry look on his face. Ah! The man instantly froze. His spiritual consciousness couldn't sweep into the iceberg covered in ice-patterned Tao runes. He didn't know that there was someone inside the iceberg. Someone was cultivating inside the iceberg. How terrifying was this person's cultivation? Senior. The man subconsciously called out. How could someone who could cultivate under the iceberg covered in ice attribute Dao runes be a weakling? The woman also looked at Ning Cheng in panic. However, she was in a better state than the man. She quickly saw that Ning Cheng's cultivation was lower than both of them. He hadn't even reached the primordial chaos realm. She immediately felt relieved. She also swallowed the senior that was on the tip of her tongue. Do you like to disturb other people's cultivation? Ning Cheng said in a cold tone. According to the rules, this man had broken the place where he cultivated in seclusion. Even if he killed the other party, it was still within reason. The man finally saw Ning Cheng's cultivation. He definitely hadn't reached primordial chaos. Although he also had the aura of primordial chaos, he should be on the verge of comprehending primordial chaos. He guessed that he had interrupted the other party's comprehension of primordial chaos realm, which led to this situation. He breathed a sigh of relief and ignored Ning Cheng's words. Instead, he looked at the woman. He did not understand why Ning Cheng's cultivation was lower than them, so how could he cultivate in such a place? In this place where strength reigned supreme, as long as one's cultivation was higher than the other party's, not to mention destroying the other party's abode, even killing the other party was nothing. The woman smiled slightly, looked at the male cultivator and said, Senior apprentice brother Yun Jian, this is actually very normal. If you were really in the ice mountain, most of the cold would be blocked by the ice mountain, and it would not be as cold as outside. The other is body tempering. If you temper your body here, your resistance here will be stronger than a primordial chaos sacred emperor's even if your cultivation level is not at primordial chaos. The man nodded, obviously understanding this principle. He looked at Ning Cheng and smiled, this Dao friend, I didn't expect you to cultivate in this place. Originally, if the other party had apologized, Ning Cheng would have let it go. After all, no one would have thought of cultivating in seclusion in this place. He didn't expect that when this man knew that his cultivation was inferior to his, he would use such a matter-of-fact tone to deal with him. He didn't even have the intention to apologize. Senior apprentice brother Yun Jian, let's go first. The woman winked at the man and said. The man instantly understood that they had come here for something. Originally, it didn't matter if it was just the two of them. But now that Ning Cheng appeared, if they didn't take the lead, Ning Cheng might snatch that thing away. As soon as the two of them left, Ning Cheng immediately understood the reason behind it. Maybe these two people, like him, wanted to find the cause of this extremely cold space. As Ning Cheng thought of this, he no longer wanted to apologize to the two of them. Instead, his figure turned into a light and rushed forward. With his current cultivation and physical strength, his resistance to the cold here was definitely greater than that of this man and woman. As long as his resistance to the cold exceeded the two, his speed would also surpass them. In just a few moments, the man and woman in front of Ning Cheng disappeared from the range of his spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng sneered in his heart. These two people had definitely hidden themselves. Most likely, they felt that their speed wasn't as fast as him, so they decided to hide and attack him. Ning Cheng didn't even think of using his spiritual consciousness to investigate. Instead, he sped up and crossed dozens of miles in a flash. Two sharp killing intents, one from the front and one from the back, also blasted towards Ning Cheng. If Ning Cheng had been at the middle stage primordial Dao realm and faced a pincer attack from two late stage primordial chaos experts, even if he didn't escape, he would have to stay vigilant. However, Ning Cheng was a half-step primordial chaos expert and knew that two primordial chaos sacred emperors were attacking him. Therefore, he didn't fear them at all. He brought out the void cold light spear. While the traceless spear pattern blasted towards the man, his dark consciousness swept towards the woman. He also brought out the everlasting blue thunder city to protect his body. The traceless spear pattern directly crossed the void, tore through the man's domain protection, and blasted into the man's chest. With a "kacha" sound, the armor on the man's chest shattered inch by inch. The man spurted out a mouthful of blood in the void and flew backward. Ning Cheng frowned slightly. He knew that he had underestimated the other party. The other party had flown backward on purpose. He must have taken the opportunity to escape. Sure enough, while the man was still flying backward, he took out a talisman. The talisman flashed, and he disappeared without a trace. After seeing Ning Cheng's terrifying strength, this guy didn't even care about his companions and fled directly. He had expected Ning Cheng to fight back, but he hadn't expected Ning Cheng's counterattack to be so terrifying. That traceless spear pattern carried the power of spatial nomological power. His domain couldn't resist it at all. Even a peak primordial chaos expert couldn't help with such strength, let alone a half-step primordial chaos expert. He was sure that Ning Cheng had concealed his cultivation level. He couldn't see through Ning Cheng's concealment. If he didn't take the opportunity to escape, when would he? Puff. Boom, while Ning Cheng's dark consciousness blasted the woman's sneak attack also blasted Ning Cheng's everlasting Blue Thunder City. However, the everlasting Blue Thunder City's defense was too strong, so Ning Cheng wasn't affected at all. The woman's clothes were blown away by Ning Cheng's dark consciousness explosion. A bloody mist splashed out of her body. She didn't have the allure of a naked female cultivator at all. An arrow of blood spurted out of her mouth. At this moment, the woman realized that she had suffered serious injuries. "Spare me!" The woman screamed in panic and quickly retreated. At the same time, she brought out a pitch-black bead. The violent aura of destruction instantly surrounded Ning Cheng, and Ning Cheng felt the threat of death. At this moment, it wasn't about sparing the woman's life, but whether he could escape or not. Almost at the same time as the pitch-black bead exploded, Ning Cheng rushed into the mysterious yellow bead. Boom boom boom. The terrifying explosion almost turned everything around Ning Cheng into nothingness. Streaks of shattered ice Taoist rhymes wreaked havoc in the void and were bombarded into a mess. No matter how terrifying the ice Tao charm was, it disappeared temporarily under such an explosion. When Ning Cheng came out of the mysterious yellow bead again, the woman had already escaped and disappeared. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out to the Grand Essence realm in the distance, which had a huge gap in it, and his face turned gloomy. Although the realm was still slowly closing up, the power of that pitch-black bead was terrifying. It would take at least a month or two for it to recover. With the Grand Essence realm's laws shattered, the realm was already in a precarious situation. Now that the black bead exploded, the situation turned even worse. He should have directly brought out the ice-sealed space. Even if he couldn't stop that woman, that male cultivator wouldn't have been able to escape. As long as the ice-sealed space could block that man's escape, he could have killed him. Ning Cheng sped up and stopped after half an incense stick worth of time. Streaks of ice-cold Taoist rhymes were emanating from this place. 30 feet in front of him, there was an ice flower floating in the air. The ice flower had a hexagonal shape and looked crystal clear. It exuded a strong ice-attributed Tao charm aura. Around the ice flower were circles of Tao charm runes. A chill that could freeze one's soul emanated from this ice flower. Even if Ning Cheng had advanced to the half-step primordial chaos realm and was a body-refining expert that surpassed the starry sky body, standing in this place for a long time still gave him a chill. This ice flower was by no means ordinary. Even if Ning Cheng didn't know what it was, he knew that it was a peerless treasure. Just a small ice flower was enough to freeze the surrounding space. One could see how terrifying it was. If he hadn't advanced in all aspects, he wouldn't have even made it this far. Ning Cheng carefully approached the ice flower. Ning Cheng had already put away the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort. The everlasting Blue Thunder Fort lacked an artifact spirit and couldn't withstand the extreme cold in this place. The wave-like ice-cold Tao charm tore through the ice flower, but Ning Cheng quickly refined and absorbed it. Even an ordinary primordial chaos holy emperor couldn't cross a distance of 3 feet. But for Ning Cheng, he could slowly move forward while refining the ice-cold Dao charm that swept towards him. 3 days later, Ning Cheng finally stood in front of this ice flower. The law power of extreme chill slammed into his body. Even if he could absorb the ice Dao charm and the ice source essence Qi, he could still feel his bones creaking under the pressure. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath and felt a little embarrassed. He didn't know what to use to put away this ice flower. With his strength in the Tao of arrays, he could use restrictions to restrain this ice flower. But Ning Cheng felt sure that even if he used restrictions to restrain the ice flower, it wouldn't last long. The only thing on him that could contain the ice flower was the measureless gourd. The measureless gourd contained a 5-element chaos Qi and a drop of 3,000 weak water. Ning Cheng worried that if this ice flower entered the measureless gourd, it would freeze the measureless gourd. After hesitating for a while, Ning Cheng still put dozens of restrictions on the ice flower. When the restrictions fell on the ice flower, a cracking sound rang out. Before the restrictions cracked completely, Ning Cheng brought out the measureless gourd and sent the ice flower into the measureless gourd. Chapter 1182. While putting the ice flower into the measureless gourd, Ning Cheng prepared himself. Once the measureless gourd couldn't withstand the cold, he would immediately send out the ice flower. A few breaths passed, and soon, half an incense stick's worth of time had passed. The measureless gourd didn't change, which made Ning Cheng feel relieved. He didn't know what this measureless gourd was, but it could even contain the extremely cold ice flower. Moreover, he couldn't feel the cold at all. After Ning Cheng took away the ice flower, the surrounding cold instantly weakened. Compared to the previous extreme cold, he couldn't feel any chill at all. Ning Cheng felt very satisfied. With the ice flower in hand, his cultivation advanced, and Ruoshi's 9-petal lotus throne, he could now leave. Before leaving, he had to protect this place with an array formation. In the future, he would have to repair the Grand Essence realm. So now, he naturally wanted to do as much as he could. Ning Cheng had just taken a step back when the space where he took the ice flower suddenly collapsed. A spatial collapse force that Ning Cheng couldn't resist swept over and directly swept Ning Cheng away. At this time, Ning Cheng could only secretly regret that he didn't leave as soon as he took the ice flower. Instead, he stayed here for half an incense stick's worth of time. The violent spatial collapse force swept over, and Ning Cheng could only use the everlasting Blue Thunder City to protect his body. At the same time, he prepared to enter the mysterious yellow bead at any time. The intensity of the spatial collapse was more terrifying than Ning Cheng had imagined. Even with Ning Cheng's strength, he still felt extreme dizziness. This made Ning Cheng feel even more shocked. Even if he teleported away from a super long-distance teleportation array, he didn't feel this dizziness. This spatial collapse definitely had something to do with that woman's bursting black bead. This pair of dog and dog not only woke him up from his epiphany, but also tore a rift in the Grand Essence realm's domain. Moreover, he didn't expect such a powerful spatial collapse to sweep him away. In the depths of the Grand Essence demon vein, 2 women stood in the void. Between the 2 women, there were terrifying crisscrossing ravines and shattered Dao charm auras. Even further behind them was the Dao Quartz army in an orderly formation. The only difference was that on one side were human cultivators, while on the other side were demon cultivators and demonic beasts. Compared to the imposing Taisu Dao Court army, the hastily formed Dao Court army of the Taisu demon lineage was no different from a motley crew. At that moment, everyone was staring at the 2 women standing in the void. One of them was the Dao integration expert of the Taisu Dao Court, Chu Manha, and the other was the Dao integration expert of the Immortal Ring Island of the Taisu Demon Protectorate, Dao Lord Ao Wu. She couldn't let the Grand Essence Dao Court's army suppress them without any resistance. If she didn't vent her anger today, she would have been in vain for so many years. Boom! Ning Cheng's body collided with a flying magical weapon, which directly sent the magical weapon flying away. Ning Cheng also felt a burst of stuffiness in his chest because of the backlash from the weapon. Fortunately, his physical body was extremely strong, so he didn't suffer too much injury. Under the circulation of the Dao charm, the injury had already disappeared. There was no movement around. Ning Cheng grabbed the weapon that had just hit him and looked at it. It was a big seal weapon, and it turned out to be a semi-supreme grade spirit artifact. The weapon had some cracks on it. It should have been blasted by the opponent during the fight. Since the weapon was here, it seemed that the place where the fight took place wasn't too far away. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and soon saw 3 people in the distance. One of them, a man with a short stature, was scolding 2 people. This man with a short stature was already a primordial essence holy emperor. One of the 2 people he scolded was also a primordial essence holy emperor, and the other was a half-step primordial essence. Ning Cheng always felt that the short primordial essence holy emperor was somewhat familiar, but he couldn't remember who the other party was. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness had just swept over when he heard the short man scolding him. "What are you looking at? This master is teaching 2 ants a lesson. Haven't you seen it? Bring that broken seal to this master. How dare a mere broken seal collide with this master's weapon? Ba 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 ba." This scolding was obviously aimed at Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was still thinking about who this short primordial essence holy emperor was. But when he heard this sentence, he immediately remembered the other party. He smiled, grabbed the big seal, and walked in front of the 3 people in a few steps. "2 ants, how dare you follow behind this master's ass? Don't you know that this master's fart is also a supreme treasure? You want to slip away after taking advantage of this master? How can there be such a good thing? There is a cause and there is an effect. You ate this master's fart, that's the cause. Now you take out something to compensate this master, that's the effect." The short man was still scolding. Ning Cheng finally understood the reason and secretly cursed this guy for being too shameless. He actually found fault with others because they might have taken advantage of his fart. "Fellow Taoist, we really don't have any treasures on us. If you want spirit crystals, I can take out some." The scolded primordial essence holy emperor's face turned green and red, but he didn't dare to say anything. Clearly, he knew that he wasn't the short man's opponent. "And you picked up something and stood in front of me. Do you want to take advantage of me by standing behind me? This master doesn't fart anymore." The short primordial essence holy emperor suddenly pointed at Ning Cheng and scolded loudly. Ning Cheng chuckled. "Whether I stand in front of you or behind you, you are full of farts. Am I right, old fogey? I didn't expect that a mere old fogey like you would have such a great opportunity. Which cesspool did you fall into? Not only did you recover your physical body, you even recovered your cultivation." The short man stared at Ning Cheng as if he had seen a ghost. He then took a few steps back and pointed at Ning Cheng. It's you, don't call yourself you or you. You dare to call yourself master in front of this young master. Old fogey, you've grown some guts. Come, let this young master see how stinky your fart is." Ning Cheng waved at the short man and said sarcastically. Chapter 1183. This short man was the one Ning Cheng met when he was still doing a mission in Graceful Star Mainland. At that time, Ning Cheng was still in Rainbow Fall Sword Sect and had accepted mission number 17. The location of this mission was the battlefield of the 2 true countries. After entering the battlefield, Ning Cheng met many genius disciples sealed in ice because of this mission and also saw the Karma House. In the Karma House, Ning Cheng scared the old fogey into releasing all the disciples trapped in the ice pillars and even extorting some starry sky crystals from the old fogey. The reason why he scared the old fogey was that he used the traceless spear move, which made the old fogey think that he was the reincarnation of a powerhouse. "Senior." The short man finally reacted. After being scared off by Ning Cheng, he had thought about it carefully. Later, he decided that he was overthinking things. Ning Qing definitely wasn't the reincarnation of that powerhouse. But at that time, Ning Qing was already very powerful. He had been busy restoring his strength and didn't have the energy to find Ning Qing for revenge. Now that he saw Ning Qing in the endless void, he immediately confirmed that he had not guessed wrong. Ning Qing was the reincarnation of that senior. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to recover to this level so quickly. After entering the void, he found the place where he hid his treasures and quickly restored his cultivation. But even then, he couldn't recover so quickly. "Old fogey, why do you bully people every time this young master sees you? These two people have such weak cultivation. Do you find it interesting to bully them?" Ning Qing glanced at the two male cultivators being bullied by the old fogey and spoke with a smile. The two male cultivators cried in their hearts. "This young master, one of us is at early stage primordial chaos and the other is a half-step primordial chaos. Do you want us to live with such weak cultivation?" "Senior, I. The old fogey, who was still arrogant a moment ago, now looked like a mouse in front of a cat in front of Ning Qing. "By the way, you have a big cauldron. That big cauldron looks good. Let me have a look." Ning Qing suddenly thought of the big cauldron that the old fogey used to live in. When the old fogey heard Ning Qing mention the big cauldron, his expression suddenly changed. He even took a few steps back and stuttered, "Senior, that big cauldron is my life-bound treasure." Ning Qing looked at the old fogey and understood that he was afraid of snatching the big cauldron away. Ning Qing also did not know how powerful this old fogey was in the end, as such he did not want to force this fellow, as such he had no choice but to speak up. "Oh, then why don't you tell me, why did your cultivation recover so quickly?" When the old man heard that Ning Qing no longer talked about the cauldron, he quickly gave a detailed reply, "It is all thanks to Senior's grace. When Senior destroyed the Red Star Sword faction, I accidentally obtained the Red Star Sword faction's soul washing pond." When Ning Qing heard the old fart's words, he immediately knew that this old fart did not obtain it by chance, and must have coveted it for a long time. However, this fellow dreaded the strength of the Red Star Sword faction, and did not dare to make a move. If he went to destroy the Red Star Sword faction, then that old fogey would definitely benefit from it. "I was wondering why I did not obtain any benefits when I destroyed the Red Star Sword faction in the past. It turns out that it was all taken away by an old thing like you." Ning Qing spoke with anger. The old man hurriedly bowed and explained, "Senior, the soul cleansing pool this junior obtained is only useful for the essence soul. It would not be of much use to you, Senior." The two saint emperors who had been scolded by the old man walked over and bowed to Ning Qing. They could not see how powerful Ning Qing was, but the old man could easily suppress the two of them. Moreover, the old man also addressed Ning Qing as Senior. How could they still dare to act rashly? Ning Qing waved his hand. Since he had intimidated the old man, he could not expose himself. The old man's origin was not ordinary. Ning Qing still had a lot of things to ask the old man after meeting him this time. It was best to let the old man think that he was a senior. "I just tore the void casually and did not pay attention to the direction. Where is this place?" Ning Qing boasted shamelessly. He did not know that he had boasted a bit too much. When the old man and the other two heard Ning Qing's words, their eyes suddenly showed horror. Even a Tao integration stage holy emperor wouldn't be able to tear through space like this. The void here was extremely solid, and not just anyone could tear it. "Senior, this is the heavens beyond void domain." The primordial chaos holy emperor who had been scolded by the old man answered. "Heavens beyond void domain?" Ning Qing hurriedly asked, "Is there a heavens beyond here?" The primordial chaos holy emperor was a little puzzled by Ning Qing's low-level question. However, he still answered respectfully, "Senior, the heavens beyond void domain and heavens beyond are two different things. Heavens beyond is a void city at the intersection of several planes. It is very far away from the heavens beyond void domain. Because the location of heavens beyond is very important, this place is also the most prosperous void city. Ning Cheng was a little disappointed, but he still understood what the primordial chaos holy emperor meant. Heavens beyond was a pass. In order to enter another plane from one plane, one had to pass through heavens beyond. Otherwise, one could only tear the void plane with supreme divine power. Ning Cheng was not sure about other planes, but he suddenly thought that if he occupied the void city of the heavens beyond of heaven and earth, wouldn't cultivators from other planes have to obtain his consent if they wanted to enter the 5 grand realms, or the 5 grand realms cultivators wanted to enter other planes? At the thought of this, Ning Cheng suddenly thought of the deal he had with Taichu Dao Court Dao Lord Li Jianqing. Li Jianqing had wanted to ask him to set up a teleportation array that spanned several planes. After Ning Cheng had said that he could not complete it, Li Jianqing had said that he only needed to set up teleportation arrays in neighboring planes. Other than the beyond of heaven and earth, which other places were adjacent to the plane? It turned out that Li Jianqing wanted him to set up a teleportation array from the great beginning realm to heavens beyond and then set up a teleportation array from there to another plane. It seemed that Li Jianqing had a big plan. What this guy wanted to do was very dangerous. If he failed to plot for other planes and provoked a mighty figure, the 5 grand realms would probably suffer. If this guy really wanted him to set up a teleportation array in a plane neighboring heavens beyond, Ning Cheng would have to be careful. What are your names? In order not to let the other party see that he knew nothing, Ning Cheng decided to slowly ask about the heavens beyond void domain. Junior Shi Japan. The early-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor bowed and answered. He was very strong. If it had not been for his short hair, he would not have stood out in a crowd. The half-step primordial chaos sacred emperor beside Shi Japan also hurriedly bowed and said, Junior Jin Yang Mu Wu. Besides having a strange name, Jin Yang Mu Wu had a square face and a medium build. He was also not outstanding. When the old man saw Ning Cheng's gaze fall on him, he hurriedly stepped forward and said carefully, Junior Jiang Zhong. Ning Cheng nodded. Old man, your name is even worse. I didn't hear you clearly. I thought you were a zombie. The old man cared about his reputation. When he heard Ning Cheng's words, his face turned red. Senior, I have another nickname. I'm called Emperor Ping Ding, Jiang Zhong. Ping Ding Heavenly Emperor. Ning Cheng had never heard of any of them. When Shi Japan heard this, he immediately exclaimed in shock, Senior, you're Emperor Ping Ding? The old man snorted. Why? Do you think that my cultivation level is far from recovering, so you dare to doubt me? I wouldn't dare. This junior greets Emperor Ping Ding. Shi Japan replied with even more respect. Not only Shi Japan, but even Jin Yang Mu Wu, who followed Shi Japan, also hurriedly bowed. Ning Cheng also felt shocked. The old man was now at the middle stage primordial chaos sacred emperor and was far from recovering. What was this fellow's cultivation level? Was he a third-step Dao confirming expert? Ping Cauldron Heavenly Emperor, this name sounds very awe-inspiring. Ning Cheng snorted from the side. Only then did the old fogey remember that there was an even more terrifying existence beside him. He quickly smiled apologetically and said, in front of Senior, this junior's cultivation is like a firefly in front of the bright moon. It's not worth mentioning, not worth mentioning. Ning Cheng waved his hand. I can only vaguely remember some of the things in the past. You have to remind me when the time comes. You'll definitely benefit from it. Yes, Jiang Zhong remembers. The old man quickly responded again, but he had some doubts in his heart. He couldn't see Ning Cheng's true cultivation level, but on the surface, he already had the strength of a half-step primordial chaos sacred emperor. In addition, Ning Cheng could tear the realm void here. How could he not remember many things when his cultivation level had recovered to this extent? It was not right that he only remembered some superficial things. The old man had doubts but did not dare to ask. Ning Cheng ignored the old man. He turned to Shi Jupan and said, I want to go to heavens beyond to have a look, but I'm not very familiar with this place. Can you help me lead the way? Shi Jupan quickly replied, It's my honor to lead the way for you. Although this place is very far from heavens beyond, it's not far from the Heavenly Union planet. The Heavenly Union planet is the largest sacred city in the heavens beyond's virtual domain. Not only does it have a teleportation array to various major realms, but it also has the famous Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda. Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda? I know about this. The old man seemed to have heard something familiar. He chuckled and said proudly. Ning Cheng frowned and said pretentiously, I have a vague impression of this Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda, but why can't I remember it? After thinking for a long time, Ning Cheng pointed at the old man and said, Tell me about the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda in detail. Let me strengthen my memory. The old man did not dare to disobey Ning Cheng's words, so he explained, the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda has a total of 18 floors. Each floor has its own function, such as condensing divine powers, comprehending Dao force, or comprehending a higher realm. Any cultivator who can reach the 9th floor of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda or above will have supreme gains. Moreover, at the top of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda, a drop of quintessential essence of the universe will condense every 100 million years. This kind of quintessential essence is incomparably valuable. Just like when I saw you in the past, as long as you take a drop of quintessential essence of the universe, you will immediately recover to the late-stage primordial chaos realm. Ning Cheng was secretly shocked. This quintessential essence of the universe was too heaven-defying. Chapter 1184. Shi Jupan hurriedly added, Senior Ping Ding is right. No one has reached the top of the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda for many years. There must be a lot of quintessential essence of the universe condensed now. Moreover, the Heavenly Alliance Planet City Lord also said that as long as one ascends beyond the 9th floor, he will give a supreme reward for every additional floor. When sacred emperors are at the Dao integration stage or even the 3rd step, their physical bodies are very prone to collapse. On the other hand, the quintessential essence of the universe is a supreme treasure that condenses the physical body and prevents the physical body in Dao runes from collapsing. As for the reward given by the Heavenly Union Star City Lord, he did not take it to heart at all. If he could obtain a treasure like the quintessential essence of the universe, that reward was really nothing. Ning Cheng's heart stirred as he subconsciously asked, wouldn't the quintessential essence of the universe play a great role during the Deva's blight? Fortunately, Ning Cheng had said before that he had a vague memory of many things. Therefore, when Ning Cheng said that he did not know the use of the quintessential essence of the universe, the three of them did not care. Senior, I heard that using the quintessential essence of the universe can reduce the decay time and degree of the first 3 heavenly blights. Not only will it not affect one's cultivation, but it will also strengthen one's foundation, Shi Jupan explained. Ning Cheng nodded and didn't continue to ask about the quintessential essence of the universe. Instead, he changed the topic. Do you know about the 5 grand realms? I know that the 5 great realms are planes around the beyond of heaven and earth. I heard that because of the war between the experts of the 5 great realms, the laws of the heavens and earth were severely damaged. Now, it's not even as good as the void domain of the heavens beyond heaven. Jin Yang and Mu Wu, who had been silent all this while, replied. Ning Cheng couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Going into seclusion for 10,000 years was really not as good as walking outside for 10,000 years. Jin Yang and Mu Wu's cultivation level was only at the half-step primordial chaos realm, so they knew more than him. Where are the 2 of you going? Ning Cheng looked at Jin Yang, Mu Wu and Shi Jupan and asked. Shi Jupan answered carefully, we were just putting ourselves to the test in the void. We originally planned to go to the Heavenly Union planet. Now, wherever Senior wants to go, Junior is willing to lead the way. In that case, let's go to the Heavenly Union Star. After Ning Cheng finished, he swept his gaze towards the old man. The old man didn't wait for Ning Cheng to say anything and quickly spoke up, "This junior will also go to the Heavenly Union Star with senior. That would be for the best. I still have some things to ask you." Ning Cheng pretended to be profound as he nodded. According to Shi Japan, the Heavenly Union planet was not very far away. Even so, it took them nearly 3 months to reach a huge planet. Ning Cheng's group had not yet entered the Heavenly Union Star when Ning Cheng saw a vague tower on the planet in the distance. The top of the tower could not be seen at all. Ning Cheng also sighed and said, "I don't know who built this Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda, but it actually has such a precious thing." "Senior." Shi Japan said respectfully, "Actually, the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda was not built by humans. It has existed since the creation of the world. In fact, the Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda came first before the Heavenly Union planet. The Dao runes of the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda were condensed, and all kinds of rules were complete. After standing in the void for a long time, a planet formed below it. This planet is the Heavenly Union planet. First the Dao Pagoda, then the Heavenly Union planet." Ning Cheng was even more shocked in his heart. It was as absurd as hearing that there was a building on Earth before there was an Earth. But no matter how absurd it was normal in the endless void. The Heavenly Union Dao Pagoda could condense the laws of heaven and earth, so it was normal for it to form the Heavenly Union planet after countless years. "Senior, the Heavenly Union Star's City Master Yi Sa is a half-step world creation powerhouse. Senior's prestige is boundless, but... Before entering the Heavenly Union planet, Shi Japan's tone was somewhat hesitant. Ning Cheng understood what he meant and waved his hand. "You can rest assured that I'm not an unreasonable person. Yi Sa is the city master here, and I will not offend him for no reason." Not to mention that Ning Cheng knew that he was not the reincarnation of a powerhouse like the old fart imagined. Even if he was, he would not be brainless enough to provoke a half-step world creation powerhouse. A half-step world creation powerhouse should not be weaker than Yin Xingwen, at least on par. Ning Cheng believed that with his current strength, even if the other party wanted to deal with him, he could still escape. After entering the Heavenly Union planet, Ning Cheng finally understood why Shi Japan said that the Heavenly Union planet was actually a city. The Heavenly Union planet was protected by a star-protecting grand array, and a tower towering into the sky looked very conspicuous. There were no buildings around the tower, just an empty and boundless public square. In front of the tower, there was a pure white stone stele with 18 compartments. Each compartment had some golden dots swaying. Ning Cheng noticed that these golden dots were all below the 7th floor. The lower he went, the denser they became. There were no restrictions on the public square that isolated spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the public square and found streets stretching out one after another outside the public square. These streets seemed to have no end and stretched out for countless miles. All the streets were centered on the public square and stretched out in all directions. Countless cultivators walked to and fro in these streets, showing that this place was extremely lively. Feeling the powerful laws of heaven and earth here, Ning Cheng sighed. This really was a city centered around the Heavenly Union Dao Tower. "Senior, this tower in front of you is the Heavenly Union Dao Tower. You can see the stone stele in front of the Dao Tower, which shows the cultivators active on each floor. The higher you go, the fewer cultivators there are. Right now, the highest one is only on the 6th floor." Seeing Ning Cheng standing there, Shi Japan quickly explained. Ning Cheng nodded, "There are a lot of people here." Shi Japan quickly said, "Yes, many cultivators come to the Heavenly Union Star City because of the Heavenly Union Dao Tower. Anyone can enter the Heavenly Union Dao Tower and feel the Dao charm inside. Coupled with the perfect laws of heaven and earth here, you can say that you can't find a better place to cultivate than here in the void." As the few people spoke, a loud noise suddenly broke out in front of the Heavenly Union Dao Tower. Ning Cheng was about to ask when he heard someone cheering, "It's the 7th floor, it's really the 7th floor." Ning Cheng's gaze fell on the white stone stele and saw a golden dot swaying on the 7th floor of the stone stele. The old fart snorted disdainfully, "It's just the 7th floor, what's there to be happy about?" Shi Jupan felt a little afraid of the old fart. After listening to the old fart's words, he carefully said, "Senior, you might not know this, but it can't be compared to the past. Now, very few people can reach the top of the Heavenly Union Dao Tower. Even those who can reach the 9th floor are the strongest among the powerhouses. There are only a few people who can reach the 7th floor. For someone to reach the 7th floor, it is indeed a great thing. Senior, this junior wants to go to the Heavenly Union Dao Tower, I don't know." Shi Jupan really didn't want to stand together with Ning Cheng and the old fart. Ning Cheng wanted to avoid the old fart and ask Shi Jupan about the old fart's origin. But now that Shi Jupan wanted to go to the Heavenly Union Dao Tower, he didn't care. He waved his hand and said, "You go, I'll find you if there's anything." "Many thanks, senior." Shi Jupan quickly bowed to Ning Cheng and the old fart, and then quickly left with Jin Yang and Mu Wu. "Old fart, tell me about your origin. I'm old and can't remember a lot of things. For example, how did you appear in the I Ching mainland?" After Shi Jupan and Mu Wu left, Ning Cheng patted the old fart's shoulder and spoke with a smile. The old fart felt cold sweat dripping down his back from Ning Cheng's 2 slaps, but he didn't dare to refute. Instead, he spoke with a respectful tone. During the war, this junior wanted to pick up something, and ended up getting hit by the aftermath of the Dao charm. Fortunately, this junior had good luck. After being blasted out of several domain boundaries, I slept for countless years and finally awakened a trace of my spirit soul. Because of senior's grace, this junior was able to restore his cultivation. Ning Cheng gave a cold snort. "Pick up something? I'm afraid that the thing you picked up was that big cauldron. If it weren't for the benefits of that big cauldron, you would have slept for countless years and never woken up, right?" The old fart was shocked by Ning Cheng's words and quickly bowed again. "Senior, it is indeed because of that heaven and earth cauldron that this junior could survive. Although the heaven and earth cauldron is good, in senior's eyes, it's not even worth mentioning, not even worth mentioning." Sure enough, Ning Cheng guessed correctly. Since this old fart didn't want to show him the heaven and earth cauldron, then this big cauldron must be extraordinary. Ning Cheng didn't want to snatch the heaven and earth cauldron. After listening to the old fart's words, he simply snorted, "Not even worth mentioning? I think it's worth mentioning. This old man doesn't covet your things. Tell this old man about the war of that year." When the old fart heard Ning Cheng say that he didn't want the heaven and earth cauldron, he immediately felt relieved. He knew very well that even for a ruthless character like Ning Cheng, the heaven and earth cauldron was still a top-grade treasure. "I heard that several third-step good fortune experts fought for some unknown reason. As a result, countless planes, interfaces, and starry sky planets were destroyed in that war. Even a few good fortune treasures were smashed, and a few good fortune treasures were blasted into the void and disappeared." As the old fart spoke until here, Ning Cheng's spirit shook. The old fart was talking about the good fortune war. He didn't expect that he would finally meet someone related to the good fortune war. This old fart couldn't let this old fart go. He must ask him about it. The old fart didn't notice the change in Ning Cheng's expression and continued, "Those few powerful experts almost perished together. Not only did the fragments of various good fortune treasures fly everywhere, but even many Xiantian magic treasures and acquired spiritual treasures flew everywhere in the void because of the war. Later, those few experts stopped fighting, but more and more experts participated in the war. They snatched all kinds of magic treasures and all kinds of resources. This war lasted on and off for tens of thousands of years, until the sky turned dark, and the sun and moon lost their light. I don't know how many people died, and how many planets and interfaces were shattered." Chapter 1185. Ning Cheng patted the old fart's shoulder again. "Wait for me here. I'll go to the Heavenly Union's Dao Pagoda to take a look." When I come back, I still have something to talk to you about. The old fart hurriedly said with a smile, Senior, feel free to go to the Tao court. I will definitely wait for you here. After Ning Qing left, the old fart wiped the sweat off his forehead and quickly retreated. Only a fool would wait for Ning Qing here. Now that Ning Qing had entered the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda, he had to hurry up and leave the Heavenly Union Star. If Ning Qing knew about the Heaven and Earth Cauldron, then it would not be a good thing. Who knew if this senior's words and his thoughts were the same? Before the old man left the square, he saw another man out of the corner of his eye. His expression changed again, and he quickly turned around and returned to the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. He cursed in his heart that he must have misjudged the day he came out. Why did he always meet people he didn't want to see? So many years have passed, why haven't these old fellows died out? Ning Qing did not care whether this old fart left or not. In fact, even if this old fart left, it would not matter to him. As for the old fart's Heaven and Earth Cauldron, he had no intention of snatching it. As for the old fart's misunderstanding of his identity, he did not intend to ask the old fart about it. This was because he knew that he was not the reincarnation of some almighty being. He was just a nobody from Earth. Outside the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, there were still people discussing in shock. All the topics of discussion were about the woman who had ascended to the 7th floor. Ning Qing was sure that he had not heard it wrong. According to the discussions of the others, the one who had ascended to the 7th floor was a woman. People were constantly entering the Heavenly Alliance Tao Tower, and people were constantly being thrown out of the tower onto the square. Ning Qing walked to the entrance of the Tao Tower and stopped a Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. Is it easier to go up the Heaven Alliance Tao Tower with higher cultivation level? The man glanced at Ning Qing and chuckled, Tao friend, you are wrong. The Heavenly Union's Tao Pagoda tests one's perception. Only those with a higher perception would be able to climb higher. Of course, the higher your comprehension, the higher your cultivation, and the easier it would be. In comparison, comprehension was more important than cultivation. I once saw a Tao Actualization Divine Emperor ascend to the 7th level. What is the test in this Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda? Ning Qing asked again. The 1st to 3rd floors of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda are nothing much. They just test the ability to comprehend some Tao runes and laws. After reaching the 4th level, it was a test of one's comprehension of the Great Tao. Every level will give you quite a lot of rewards. The specifics will depend on what Great Tao you cultivate, the man replied. I understand now. Is it because everyone's Great Tao is different, so their comprehension in the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda is also different? The man nodded. That's right. That's roughly what I mean. The higher the talent, the greater the harvest in the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. Ning Qing did not ask any more questions. After thanking him, he turned around and stepped into the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. People entered and exited the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda at all times. As such, no one would notice Ning Qing entering the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda. Ning Qing had just entered the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda when the old fogey rushed over. When he saw Ning Qing enter the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda, he could only sigh and carefully squeeze into the crowd with his head down. Now he did not want to leave Ning City, but rather he wanted Ning City to come out as soon as possible, so that he could follow him. As soon as Ning Qing stepped through the entrance of the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda, he entered a circular hall. When he looked back, the entrance had already disappeared without a trace. The circular hall did not look very big, but every corner of the hall was filled with people. When Ning Qing was about to count the number of people, he found that no matter how many people he counted, he was still in a corner. From this, it could be seen that this hall was definitely a spatial hall, not what it looked like on the surface. Most of the people in this hall sat in silence, seemingly meditating with their eyes closed and sensing something. Only a small number of people moved in different directions. Ning Qing took a few steps and felt a kind of oppressive force. It was the aura of the laws of heaven and earth. The aura of the laws here was much clearer than the outside, which made Ning Qing suddenly feel enlightened. No wonder the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda was so popular. With such clear laws of heaven and earth, it really made it a lot easier to comprehend. Ning Qing also found a place to sit down. In just half an incense stick worth of time, he could clearly feel the laws of heaven and earth on this floor of the Tao Pagoda. If he continued to comprehend here, this place would definitely help him stabilize his spirit technique. However, Ning Qing did not continue to sit here and comprehend. Instead, he felt the existence of a higher level of law power. Ning Qing stood up, and walked to a seemingly empty place, where a long staircase suddenly appeared in front of him. Seeing Ning Qing step on the stairs and disappear on the first floor, many cultivators showed envious looks. But soon, they focused their attention on their own comprehensions again. Obviously, many people like Ning Qing had comprehended the second floor of the Tao Pagoda and then disappeared. The second floor of the Tao Pagoda was almost no different from the first floor. The only difference was that there were slightly fewer people on the second floor. But it was still innumerable. The law power on the second floor of the Tao Pagoda was significantly stronger than the law power on the first floor. Ning Qing raised his hand and waved out a Tao charm law. The surrounding law power immediately became chaotic and disappeared, and a lawless space appeared. However, this lawless space quickly disappeared, and the surroundings returned to the original scene. Ning Qing was overjoyed. He had just brought out the law-breaking spirit technique. He could clearly feel that cultivating the law-breaking spirit technique in this place was more effective than cultivating it outside. The main reason was that the laws of heaven and earth here were very clear. More importantly, the laws of heaven and earth here went from weak to strong from the first floor. This kind of weak to strong law of heaven and earth was suitable for him to cultivate the law-breaking spirit technique. After understanding this, Ning Qing did not stay on the second floor for long. He directly found the place where the laws of the second floor condensed and set foot on the third floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. Some of the cultivators who saw Ning Qing enter the second floor and then set foot on the third floor in the blink of an eye were secretly shocked. Who was this person? Even if the law power on the first few floors of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda was weak, it shouldn't be so easy to cross in such a short time, right? Ning Qing didn't care about this at all. He even crossed the third floor and came to the fourth floor. At this moment, he felt a little excited. As long as he cultivated the law-breaking spirit technique here, his law-breaking spirit technique would definitely continue to condense and strengthen. At the same time, he also felt the power of the law-breaking spirit technique. This kind of spirit technique was not only his trump card against enemies, but Ning Qing also vaguely felt that the law-breaking spirit technique had another function, which was to tear space. Once his law-breaking spirit technique reached a certain level, could he use the law-breaking spirit technique to break the surrounding laws of heaven and earth before tearing space and then raising his hand to tear the void? This would definitely have the effect of twice the result with half the effort. If he had to reach the third step of Tao confirming to tear the void in the past, as long as his law-breaking spirit technique reached a certain realm, he might be able to do it after advancing to primordial chaos. Once he broke the laws of the void, the stability of the space would definitely decline sharply, and the places that he couldn't tear before would most likely be torn apart. If he could really do this, even a third-step powerhouse wouldn't find it easy to kill him. As long as he could tear the void and escape in a very short time, so what if he was a third-step powerhouse? The more Ning Qing strengthened his law-breaking spirit technique through the Tao Pagoda, the more excited he became. The Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda definitely wasn't just a place to test one's law-breaking spirit technique. In the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, in addition to testing the laws, one could also comprehend the Tao charm, the Great Tao, and even condense new spirit techniques. However, Ning Qing treated the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda as a trial ground for his law-breaking spirit technique. Every time he used his law-breaking spirit technique to break through the surrounding nomological power on the first floor, he wanted to try and see if he could break through even stronger laws. Before he knew it, Ning Cheng had already reached the 6th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. However, he didn't realize it and continued to try and strengthen his law-breaking spirit technique. Outside the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, countless people exclaimed again. She really climbed to the 8th floor. How many years has it been since someone went to the 8th floor? I'm afraid it's been hundreds of years, right? If this senior goes up another floor, I'm afraid it will alarm the city lord. What senior? She's younger than you. According to the people who came out of the Tao Pagoda, that female cultivator looks very young and very beautiful. Be careful with your words. She's a senior who climbed to the 8th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. If you show any disrespect, no one will be able to protect you. The cultivator who said that the female cultivator who climbed to the 8th floor was very beautiful shrank his head. Although he felt that he had only said that she was beautiful and would not offend the female cultivator, he still didn't dare to continue. Bursts of discussions and exclamations stirred up more and more people to enter the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. Since someone had climbed to the 8th floor, maybe they could also climb to the 6th floor or something. Hey, everyone, look, someone has climbed to the 7th floor. This exclamation interrupted the discussion about the female cultivator on the 8th floor. Everyone's eyes fell on the pure white Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda's stone stele. On the 7th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda's stone stele, a golden dot appeared. Some people thought they had seen it wrong and looked up at the 8th floor of the stone stele. The golden dot on the 8th floor was still there. In other words, in addition to the female cultivator who had entered the 8th floor, someone had indeed entered the 7th floor. What day is it today? How come 2 people have climbed to the 7th floor and above? Regardless of what day it was, everyone's eyes were filled with excitement. Today, 2 people had climbed to the 7th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda and above, which was likely to alarm the city lord. No, I can't help it. I have to give it a try. A male cultivator with a red face squeezed out of the crowd and rushed into the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. As the male cultivator entered the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, a few more people followed. Everyone was stimulated by the 2 people who had rushed to the 7th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda and wanted to give it a try. Chapter 1186. The second person to rush to the 7th floor of the Heaven Alliance Tao Pagoda was naturally Ning Cheng. As soon as Ning Cheng reached the 7th floor, he felt a completely different aura of heaven and earth laws. A kind of law power that almost crushed his bones came crashing down without any hindrance. Ning Cheng's body instantly bent into a prawn under the pressure. Ning Cheng's strong body allowed him to withstand the suppression of this terrible law power. Ning Cheng was secretly shocked. No wonder so few people could set foot on the 7th floor. Ordinary people really couldn't stand this kind of terrible law power. It all depended on one's physical strength and cultivation. If one was slightly weaker, they would be swept out of the Heaven Alliance Tao Pagoda. The moment he blocked the suppression of this law power, Ning Cheng felt the aura of heaven and earth Tao charm. After he blocked the suppression of the majestic law power, all kinds of clear insights poured into him instantly. If he hadn't advanced to Tao essence, or if his body was still in the starry sky body, Ning Cheng might have already sat down to comprehend these Tao charms. These Tao charms would definitely help him clarify his Tao and stabilize his spirit techniques. But at this time, Ning Cheng didn't want to stop. The Heaven Alliance Tao Pagoda had a total of 18 floors. With each floor, the heaven and earth laws became several times stronger. Ning Cheng had even more expectations for the Heaven Alliance Tao Pagoda. If he could reach the 10th floor, maybe he could use the Heaven Alliance Tao Pagoda to reach Tao origin. Now that he was a half-step Tao origin, he could indeed ignore ordinary Tao origin holy emperors. Even if he was a half-step Tao origin holy emperor, he would still be a Tao essence holy emperor. Once he met a powerful Tao origin holy emperor, he wouldn't have enough confidence, let alone a Tao integration holy emperor. Another law-breaking spirit technique shot out, and the surrounding laws weakened instantly. The pressure Ning Qing felt became even weaker. After a few more law-breaking spirit techniques, Ning Qing felt as if he was taking a walk in an ordinary place. He no longer felt any pressure. The law-breaking spirit technique was indeed powerful. While Ning Qing secretly rejoiced, he immersed his consciousness in the entire 7th floor and soon sensed the stairs to the 8th floor. Ning Qing stepped onto the 8th floor without hesitation. At this time, he didn't care about anything else at all. If he could reach Tao origin in the Heaven Alliance Tao Pagoda, he wouldn't be afraid even if Heaven Alliance Planet City Lord Isa came. A half-step realm convergence realm was still a half-step realm convergence realm, and it was still far from the 3rd step. It was just like how he was now a half-step primordial chaos sacred emperor. Strictly speaking, he was not even considered a primordial chaos sacred emperor. As soon as Ning Qing stepped onto the 8th floor, he immediately used a law-breaking spirit technique. He knew that there were many Tao runes in the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda that he could slowly comprehend and experience. He could even comprehend some earth-shattering magical powers. However, Ning Qing already had a direction in mind. He only had one purpose for coming here, and that was to make his law-breaking spirit technique stronger. His law-breaking sacred art would still be useful against any powerful realm or saint emperor. Thinking back to when Ao Beijiang had attacked him, if his law-destruction divine art had been able to affect Ao Beijiang's nomological divine art, he would have been able to deal with Ao Beijiang without Qing Lan's help. Now that he finally found a place that could help him cultivate his law-breaking spirit technique, how could Ning Qing give it up so easily? His second goal was to find a way to ascend to a higher level of the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda and then prove his primordial chaos Tao. If his law-breaking spirit technique reached the great accomplishment stage and formed a great spirit technique, coupled with his powerful body-tempering cultivation, no primordial chaos sacred emperor would be able to pose a threat to him. Not to mention primordial chaos, any saint emperor below the 3rd step wouldn't pose much of a threat to him. Once the law-breaking spirit technique was unleashed, the endless law suppression instantly weakened. The power of the broken laws pressed down on Ning Qing, but Ning Qing felt almost nothing. Ning Qing comprehended the more powerful laws on the 8th floor of the Heavenly Union Tao Pagoda while modifying his law-breaking spirit technique. Every time he unleashed his law-breaking spirit technique, it would grow stronger. A soft cry of surprise startled Ning Qing, who was fully focused on the law-breaking spirit technique. He suddenly opened his eyes and saw a woman in a light yellow dress not far from him. The woman had an oval face and a delicate and pretty appearance. Her long black hair cascaded down her back, and her half-covered white neck made her look even more pure. Ning Qing retracted his gaze from her waist. No matter how beautiful this woman was, if he kept looking at her, it would give off a sense of rudeness. That cry of surprise clearly came from the woman. When she saw Ning Qing's gaze fall on her waist, a trace of disgust flashed in her eyes. Fortunately, Ning Qing retracted his gaze in time, and she didn't flare up. Ning Qing ignored the woman. He guessed that this female cultivator was the woman he had heard everyone talking about in the public square. Ning Qing didn't study his law-breaking spirit technique on the 8th floor. Instead, he sensed the entrance to the 9th floor and quickly rushed up. The law-breaking spirit technique was his secret, and he didn't want to study it in front of a strange woman. Seeing Ning Qing enter the 9th floor so easily, the long-haired woman's eyes showed a trace of horror. She suddenly thought of the person she had met many years ago in the Tidal Tower. Back then, she had also been an amazing genius who had set foot on the 71st floor of the Tidal Tower in one fell swoop. While resting on the 72nd floor, he had easily walked past her. When she reached the 71st floor of the Tidal Tower, she had thought that no one could surpass her. But in the end, he had still easily surpassed her. After so many years, she once again saw a similarly powerful person today. Even she found it a little difficult to stay on the 8th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, but this person had easily rushed to the 9th floor. She knew very well that the reason she could reach this place so quickly was because of her strong comprehension ability and powerful cultivation method. She had this kind of comprehension ability because her meridians and bones had been cleansed after taking the 9 Brahma fire lotus, which made her aptitude unparalleled. Coupled with the 9 Brahma and 9 lotus scripture, she had this kind of ability. The other party looked even younger than her, so how could he be so terrifying? Thinking of this, she sped up and rushed to the 9th floor. In front of the Heavenly Alliance Tao stele on the public square outside the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, although some people couldn't resist the temptation to enter the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, more and more cultivators rushed over. Both of them have reached the 8th floor. Who's the one who went in later? It's simply too terrifying. Almost the instant Ning Cheng stepped onto the 8th floor, someone immediately screamed out. It's really the 8th floor. What's going on with the 2 powerhouses who reached the 8th floor today? Is there a problem with the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda? Humph, the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda is a Tao Pagoda that existed when the world was created. It's completely composed of the Tao charm laws of heaven and earth. How could there be a problem? What I'm thinking now is whether someone between the 2 of them can set foot on the 9th floor. What do you mean by whether someone can set foot on the 9th floor? Look, someone has entered the 9th floor. Shortly after the cultivator in front of him spoke, someone exclaimed again. In fact, there was no need for him to shout at all. Everyone in front of the pure white stone stele saw that someone had indeed reached the 9th floor. No, the other person also went up. 2 people reached the 9th floor at the same time. What the hell is going on? Get out of the way. Hurry up and get out of the way. The city lord is coming. It's not the city lord, it's Deacon Lee. Amidst the noise, the old man hid in the crowd and didn't dare to come out. He was sure in his heart that one of the 2 people on the 9th floor was Ning Cheng. As for the other person, he must be a strong fellow. The 9th floor, even he would have found it difficult to set foot on it. A slender, slightly thin man landed in the crowd. Deacon Lee, Senior Lee. As the man landed, the cultivators on the side came forward to greet him. Deacon Lee nodded and looked at the Tao stele of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, the 2 people who entered the 9th floor. Does anyone know them? Although he asked a question, the surprise in his eyes could not be concealed. A cultivator immediately came forward and bowed, and then carefully said, replying to Deacon Lee, one of the 2 seems to be a woman. As for the other person, there's no news yet. Deacon Lee nodded and looked around. No one else spoke. It was obvious that they didn't know much. Ning Cheng stayed on each floor for a very short time. Before most people could see him clearly, he had already gone to a higher floor. Since no one knew him, it was normal. Deacon Lee's gaze once again fell on the Tao stele, and his expression grew more and more excited. Ning Cheng walked to the 9th floor and brought out his law-breaking spirit technique. An even more majestic law power entangled with the law-breaking spirit technique, but he couldn't completely break through the surrounding law power. The powerful law Tao charm pushed against him, and Ning Cheng almost got teleported out. He quickly concentrated on sensing the law aura around him and cast another law-breaking spirit technique at the same time. As Ning Cheng sensed the law Tao charm around him, his understanding of the law-breaking spirit technique rose to another level. The deeper Ning Cheng's understanding of the law Tao charm around him, the less pressure he felt on the 9th floor. The Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda was truly a good place. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath and took 2 steps forward again. Wait. A crisp female voice came from behind Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng immediately knew that it was the female cultivator on the 8th floor. Ning Cheng felt surprised. This woman was quite fast. Previously, she had stayed on each floor for a long time. Most likely, she wanted to comprehend something. Otherwise, how could she reach the 9th floor so quickly? What's the matter? Ning Cheng stopped and looked back at the female cultivator in confusion. When his gaze landed on the woman for the second time, he caught a familiar aura of Tao rhyme. Ning Qing secretly muttered to himself, did this woman also cultivate the mysterious yellow formless? The Tao charm aura around her was somewhat similar to All Things Return to One, but it was also completely different. Chapter 1187. I didn't expect Senior Brother to be able to reach the 9th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. It shows that very few people can match your comprehension aptitude, the woman said with a soft smile. Ning Qing also smiled slightly. Junior sister, you're not bad either. Didn't you also reach the 9th floor? If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. Ning Qing had a lot of things to do right now, so he didn't have time to talk to this female cultivator. Senior brother, don't worry. The Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda is a Khanate Tao Pagoda. I heard that it was formed after the creation of heaven and earth. Because of this, the Heavenly Alliance star can condense under the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. I came here from afar because I heard about this Tao Pagoda. The woman continued with a smile. Ning Qing frowned slightly. Oh, then everyone's purpose is the same. I also came here from hundreds of millions of miles away. The woman didn't care about Ning Cheng's attitude and still said softly, my name is Zhan Tai. Although you have supreme qualifications, the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda is not an ordinary Tao Pagoda of laws. Even with your comprehension ability, you can only set foot on the 12th floor at most. After reaching the 12th floor, no matter how strong your comprehension ability is, you will still be blasted out by the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. So what? Ning Qing could vaguely feel that this woman needed his help, but he wanted to cultivate the law-breaking spirit ability and didn't want to be with this woman at all. Zhan Tai took in a deep breath. The cultivation technique I cultivate integrates a kind of heaven and earth creation law, but it's still too weak. If we join forces, I believe that even if we can't reach the top of the pagoda, we can still go a level higher. Ning Qing smiled secretly. He thought it was something good, but it turned out that she just wanted to join forces with him to climb the pagoda. He absolutely couldn't join forces with this woman. Now that he was cultivating the law-breaking spirit ability, it would be inconvenient for him to have this woman by his side. Besides, if he could reach the top of the pagoda by himself, why would he bring another person up to share the quintessential essence of the universe? In Ning Cheng's opinion, this female cultivator named Zhan Tai had at least a half-step Tao integration cultivation level or even a Tao integration sacred emperor. He was just a small half-step primordial essence sacred emperor. Even if he didn't fear this Zhan Tai, he didn't want to join forces with someone with a much higher cultivation level than him. Sorry, I'm just used to being alone. I'll be leaving first. See you again if fate wills it. After saying that, Ning Qing turned around and quickly left. He also felt a strong suppression on the 9th floor of the Tao Pagoda, but compared to Zhan Tai, the suppression he felt was much smaller. Zhan Tai, on seeing Ning Qing leave, felt slightly startled. She didn't expect Ning Qing to turn around and leave without saying anything. It stood to reason that even if Ning Qing didn't agree, he should at least say a few more words. She was a sacred lady, and her pure Tao charm aura wasn't something that ordinary cultivators could ignore. As long as Ning Qing spoke, he was confident that he could persuade Ning Qing to join forces with her. She had too many reasons, but she also had enough strength to make Ning Qing believe in her. The current situation was obviously beyond her expectations. Seeing that Ning Qing was about to walk away, she quickly called out, I still haven't asked for senior apprentice brother's name. Ning Qing. Ning Qing casually spoke those two words before he disappeared. I'll wait for senior apprentice brother Ning in the Heavenly Alliance's Star City. If senior apprentice brother Ning gets teleported out, we can discuss the cooperation again. Zhan Tai's words came to a stop. She didn't know if Ning Qing had heard it or not. Anyway, she couldn't see Ning Qing's shadow anymore. Zhan Tai's eyes showed horror. She knew that with Ning Qing's strength, it shouldn't be difficult for him to enter the 10th floor. But she didn't expect Ning Cheng to enter the 10th floor so easily. At this point, even she couldn't leave as easily as Ning Cheng. After entering the 10th floor, the extremely violent law pressure blasted over. Ning Cheng didn't even have time to bring out his law-breaking spirit technique. At this moment, he could only resist it with his physical body. The law power slammed into Ning Cheng's body, and Ning Cheng's body, which surpassed the starry sky body, couldn't bear it. His clothes tore apart, his skin cracked, and his bones cracked. The majestic momentum didn't even wait for Ning Cheng to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth around him before blasting him out. Ning Cheng finally reached the 10th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda alone. How could he let this kind of law power blast him away? While using his body to forcibly block the surrounding law power, he brought out his law-breaking spirit technique one after another. Tao charm power that broke the laws raged around Ning Cheng, and Ning Cheng instantly felt the pressure lessen. When he brought out his law-breaking spirit technique again, the law power in the sky had little effect on him. However, Ning Cheng didn't feel surprised at all. If he fought against the other party, he might only be able to bring out his law-breaking spirit technique once. Obviously, his law-breaking spirit technique still had a big problem. One was that it took too long to bring out, and the other was that its power was too weak. No one would wait for him to bring out the same spirit technique again and again. Ning Cheng didn't try to enter the 11th floor. Instead, he kept casting his law-breaking spirit technique on the 10th floor. At the same time, he also kept comprehending the laws of heaven and earth on the 10th floor to perfect his law-breaking spirit technique. Time passed slowly, and Ning Cheng didn't hesitate to enter the 11th floor until he saw the woman also enter the 10th floor. As soon as he entered the 11th floor, Ning Cheng operated the body-forging cultivation method with all his might. Sure enough, as soon as Ning Cheng stepped onto the 11th floor, the violent law suppression power directly crushed all the bones in his body. When Ning Cheng slumped to the ground, the law-breaking spirit technique weakened the surrounding laws of heaven and earth. After swallowing several medicinal pills, Ning Cheng secretly rejoiced that he had stayed on the 10th floor for a long time. His law-breaking spirit technique instantly came into effect on the 11th floor. Otherwise, he would have already been blasted out of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. Under the operation of the mysterious yellow formless and the body-forging cultivation method, the medicinal source of the healing Tao pills quickly dispersed, and Ning Cheng's shattered bones also reassembled in a very short time. When Ning Cheng returned to his original state, he believed Zhang Taiyi's words. With his personal strength, he might not be able to reach the 12th floor. Fortunately, he didn't mind it. If he couldn't enter, then he couldn't enter. It was already a great surprise to be able to perfect his law-breaking spirit technique in the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. As for the true essence of the universe, no one had obtained it for so many years. So how could he obtain it? Once he figured it out, Ning Cheng focused on perfecting his law-breaking spirit technique without any distractions. Ning Cheng ignored the endless Tao charm and all kinds of nomological forces on the 11th floor. He didn't try to comprehend the Tao charm laws at all. Instead, he concentrated on deducing his law-breaking spirit technique. Ning Cheng cast one law-breaking spirit technique after another. The laws of heaven and earth on the 11th floor were too powerful. In the beginning, Ning Cheng still needed several law-breaking spirit techniques to weaken the powerful laws of this space. Later on, Ning Cheng could completely shatter the surrounding laws of heaven and earth with a raise of his hand. In this space where he cast his law-breaking spirit technique, he was the master. At this time, Ning Cheng believed that if he faced Ao Beijiang again, he could use his law-breaking spirit technique to weaken Ao Beijiang's law-breaking spirit technique to the minimum or turn it into a bubble. When Ning Cheng entered the 11th floor and Zhang Taiyi entered the 10th floor, Deacon Li on the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda's public square became so excited that he couldn't control himself. He didn't know how many flying messenger swords he had sent out to the city lord, hoping that the city lord would come back soon. The Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda had two geniuses who entered above the 9th floor at once. Zhan Tai-yi, sitting on the 10th floor, opened her eyes helplessly. She couldn't sense where the 11th floor was. She knew that this was the most she could reach. According to her original plan, she should have been able to reach the 12th floor. Unfortunately, because of the sudden appearance of the man named Ning Cheng, she couldn't comprehend the Tao charm laws step by step on the 8th floor. As a result, she couldn't sense the 11th floor now. As more and more law pressure came crashing down, Zhan Tai-yi sighed and relaxed her resistance. The next moment, she was blasted out of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda by the powerful law force. The person on the 10th floor was teleported out by the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. Although everyone knew it, someone still called out. Anyone who could set foot on the 10th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda wasn't a simple person. Now that this person was teleported out of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, it naturally attracted everyone's attention. Deacon Li quickly flew into the void and spoke to the crowd in a loud voice, "Which Tao friend just climbed to the 10th floor? Please come to my Heavenly Alliance Star City Master Mansion. You will become a distinguished guest of my Heavenly Alliance Star City Master Mansion. The entire Heavenly Alliance star will shine on you." There were too many people pouring into the Heavenly Alliance Star's public square. Even if the public square was large, it was almost full at this time. A person suddenly teleported into the crowd, and no one knew who this person was. Zhan Tai-yi took out a black cloth and covered her pretty face. She acted as if she hadn't heard Deacon Li's invitation. Deacon Li repeated what he had just said. His tone was even more enthusiastic and respectful, but no one was willing to stand up. Deacon Li sighed. There were no traces or Tao charm fluctuations when teleporting out of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. Even he couldn't identify the person teleported out. If he wanted to find this person, he could only wait and ask slowly. Fortunately, he wasn't too disappointed. After all, only the cultivators who ascended to the 10th floor were teleported out. The cultivators on the 11th floor were still there. The number of people on the public square didn't decrease because of the passing of a few days. Instead, it increased. Ning Cheng, who was still on the 11th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, had already stopped deducing the law-breaking spirit technique. His law-breaking spirit technique had already reached perfection under the laws of the 11th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. At this moment, he was thinking about how to block the pressure of the 12th floor. According to the characteristics of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, with his current body-tempering cultivation and perception ability, even if he had a law-breaking divine power that was dozens of times stronger, he would not be able to withstand it. He would probably be blasted out by the powerful nomological pressure as soon as he stepped onto the 12th floor. Chapter 1188. That Zhan Tai-yi hadn't reached the 11th floor yet. Maybe she had already been blasted out. Thinking of Zhan Tai-yi, Ning Cheng suddenly recalled what she had said before. Zhan Tai-yi wanted to cooperate with him. As long as the two worked together, they could reach a higher position on the 12th floor. The main reason was that Zhan Tai-yi said that her cultivation method contained a bit of good fortune laws. In terms of cultivation methods, his mysterious yellow formless was much stronger than a cultivation method that contained a bit of good fortune laws. Perhaps his mysterious yellow formless was purely a good fortune cultivation method. Not to mention a cultivation method, he even had the good fortune treasure, the mysterious yellow bead. However, Ning Cheng had no idea how to use his cultivation method in the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. Whether he knew or not, Ning Cheng decided to give it a try on the 12th floor first. On the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, Ning Cheng immediately used a law-breaking spirit technique. At the same time, the mysterious yellow formless frantically circulated. At this moment, his entire body was filled with the Tao charm aura of his cultivation method. Even if Ning Cheng's reaction was fast enough, the terrifying pressure that felt as if the sky itself had collapsed still landed on his body. Boom! Ning Qing felt as if his entire sea of consciousness and body were about to explode from the pressure. The oppressive feeling even filled his entire soul. Feeling one of his feet being blasted into the air by the violent thrust, Ning Qing sighed in his heart. He knew that he could no longer stay on the 12th floor. Just when Ning Qing thought that he would be blasted out of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, the terrifying law power suppressing his soul was actually worn away by his cultivation method. Ning Qing's mind was filled with blessings, and he crazily circulated his qi. The law-breaking spirit technique also weakened the surrounding law power of heaven and earth at this moment, and the pressure on Ning Qing suddenly weakened. At this time, Ning Qing didn't try to perfect his law-breaking spirit technique. Instead, he continued to use the mysterious yellow formless to grind away the surrounding law power of heaven and earth. At this moment, Ning Qing felt like the great millstone of the 5th reincarnation bridge of the 7 bridges spirit technique. No matter how terrifying the law pressure was, he could grind it away at this moment. Ning Qing assimilated and absorbed the aura of laws. At this moment, Ning Qing could easily walk on the 12th floor without using the law-breaking spirit technique. Sure enough, it was because of the cultivation method. Ning Qing suppressed the surprise in his heart and continued to operate the mysterious yellow formless. The endless law Tao charm power, like spiritual qi, was ground away by the mysterious yellow formless, turned into Ning Qing's own Tao charm aura. Feeling that his Tao charm cultivation had improved once again, Ning Qing's surprise was simply indescribable. His mysterious yellow formless could actually absorb the nomological power of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda for cultivation. This was simply too heaven-defying. A few days later, Ning Qing was getting more and more comfortable with this kind of cultivation. At the same time, his comprehension of the Great Tao became even clearer. When others entered the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, they might only be able to comprehend the nomological Tao runes inside and then comprehend their own magical powers or find their own Tao path. However, he could directly absorb the Tao rune laws here to cultivate. This was simply unbelievable. In the end, it was still the effect of the mysterious yellow formless. Another day passed, and Ning Qing vaguely felt that he had once again reached the primordial chaos realm. It was different from the Tao runes of the primordial chaos realm that he had sensed in the extremely cold space last time. He felt that the primordial chaos realm he had captured this time was more perfect and powerful. Ning Qing calmed himself down and stopped absorbing the Tao charm laws here for cultivation. At his level, if he wanted to advance to the primordial chaos realm, he could do so at any time. He wasn't in a hurry. Because the mysterious yellow formless could grind away the nomological power of the Tao runes here for cultivation, Ning Qing had an even crazier idea. He wanted to use his cultivation method to directly channel the nomological power of the Tao Pagoda into the mysterious yellow bead. If he could do this, then he could definitely ascend to the 18th floor. The mysterious yellow formless aura around Ning Qing's body turned into one Tao charm aura after another. These Tao charm auras wrapped around the nomological power and sent it into the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Qing was prepared to suffer a backlash from the nomological power of the Tao runes and then be pushed out of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. What he didn't expect was that not only did he not suffer any backlash, but he also easily channeled the nomological power from the surroundings into the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Qing opened his eyes in surprise. This was even simpler and more convenient than using the law-breaking spirit technique and absorbing the nomological power of the Tao runes. If it was this easy, then there wouldn't be any problem ascending to the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. When Ning Qing thought of the 18th floor, he immediately thought of the precious true essence of the universe. He didn't stop at the 12th floor and rushed straight to the 13th floor. Even without the mysterious yellow bead absorbing the nomological power of the Tao runes from the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, Ning Qing could rely on his cultivation method to absorb the nomological power of the Tao runes from the 13th floor. However, Ning Qing didn't have the patience to do so. As soon as he reached the 13th floor, he used the mysterious yellow formless heavenly cycle to wrap around the nomological power of the Tao runes from the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda and send it all into the mysterious yellow bead. The majestic and violent nomological power almost couldn't reach Ning Cheng's surroundings before Ning Cheng sent it into the mysterious yellow bead. Compared to the previous hardships, Ning Cheng didn't spend any effort on the 13th floor. Ning Cheng didn't stop and continue to rush to the 14th floor, the 15th floor, the 16th floor. His mysterious yellow bead was like a huge vortex of devouring laws. No matter how powerful the nomological power was, as long as Ning Cheng could send the nomological power that was suppressing him into the mysterious yellow bead, he would be safe and sound. I got teleported out. Alas, what a pity. What a pity. That's a powerhouse who climbed to the 12th floor. Let me ask you, how many people can climb to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda? A burst of pitiful voices came. On the public square where the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda was located, many people sighed and talked about it. Everyone could clearly see that on the pure white Heavenly Alliance Tao steel, the golden spot that represented the person who climbed to the 12th floor had disappeared. Since it disappeared, it must have been teleported out. Even Ning Cheng himself didn't know that he didn't continue to use his strength to resist the pressure of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda's laws. Instead, he cheated and transferred the pressure of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda to the mysterious yellow bead. On the white Tao steel next to the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, the golden spot that represented him disappeared. After Zhang Taiyi was teleported out, no one knew who she was. However, many cultivators on the public square of the Heavenly Alliance Star paid close attention to their surroundings. This was because the cultivator who ascended to the 12th floor would definitely appear in a certain place after being teleported out. To everyone's disappointment, after the golden spot on the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao steel disappeared, no one suddenly appeared. Deacon Li once again flew up and said to the crowd with cupped fists, "The Tao friend who just teleported out of the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, please come to my Heavenly Alliance Star City Master's mansion." On behalf of the City Master and the entire Heavenly Alliance Star, Li Kuanghe warmly welcomes this Tao friend. Unfortunately, just like the first time he stood up, no one came forward to speak. Deacon Li felt a little anxious. How could someone who could climb to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda be a simple person? Although he didn't want to say the reward directly, he had to say it at this time. This Tao friend, and the Tao friend who climbed to the 10th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda before. In order to reward the Tao friend who set foot on the 9th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda, my Heavenly Alliance Star City specially offered 100 top-grade God spiritual veins and 10 Tao fusion Tao fruits as the initial reward. When the City Master comes back, there will be more rewards. Hearing Deacon Li's words, the cultivators on the public square of the Heavenly Alliance Star started talking even more eagerly. Some people wished that they had been teleported out from the 10th or 12th floor. Such a generous reward was just the initial reward. One could imagine what kind of good things would be rewarded once the City Master came back. The two cultivators who had climbed to the 10th floor simply didn't know what was good for them. They didn't even want such a good thing. Could the harvest on the 10th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda compare to such a generous reward? Ning Cheng naturally didn't know about such a generous reward. If he had known, he would have definitely asked for it. Whether Zhang Taiyi wanted it or not, it was her business. Ning Cheng would never ignore the reward of 10 Tao fusion Tao fruits. Not to mention, apart from the Tao fruits, there were also 100 top-grade God spiritual veins. Even if this wasn't the initial reward, Ning Cheng didn't care. However, Ning Cheng didn't know about this. He had already set foot on the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. As the power of laws that could crush the sky descended, Ning Cheng immediately integrated it into the mysterious yellow bead. What Ning Cheng didn't expect was that the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda turned out to be the top of the pagoda. At the top of the pagoda, all kinds of Tao rhymes crisscrossed, and the laws almost materialized. In this place, Ning Cheng could even see the realm after primordial chaos. With such a clear Tao rhyme law, even an idiot Tao essence Holy Emperor could easily advance to primordial chaos Holy Emperor if he came here. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath, and the Tao rhyme flowed around his body. His aura rose crazily at this moment. The power of laws merged with the power of laws of the mysterious yellow bead. Whether it was his sea of consciousness, meridians, or spirit essence, all of them underwent a qualitative change. Ning Cheng caught a trace of the Tao rhyme aura of heaven and earth. He felt as if he could see the process of everything condensing into a universe, and the universe fusing into chaos. Heaven and earth laws, spirit technique laws, grand Tao laws, all of this was clearly imprinted in Ning Cheng's consciousness and spiritual sense. It was as if he held the vast power of the entire universe in his hands, and the vast Tao rhymes of laws endlessly surrounded his body. His body also sublimated in an instant, and Ning Cheng's excited mood calmed down. He slowly raised his head and saw through the vast void in the distance. Under his gaze, the entire universe seemed to have shrunk in size. He didn't continue to use the mysterious yellow bead to absorb the heaven and earth law power here. Instead, he raised his hand and waved. The Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda's Tao rhyme law power was extremely powerful. At this moment it was like a clear meridian that he could easily straighten out. He no longer felt that oppressive feeling. Ning Cheng sighed softly and looked at the void in the distance. His whole person calmed down. It wasn't until today that he understood the difference between primordial chaos and Tao essence. Cultivating the mysterious yellow formless allowed him to fight against primordial chaos at the primordial Tao realm, which showed how powerful the mysterious yellow formless was. So what if I reach Tao unification from now on? Ning Cheng smiled and raised his hand to tear apart the surrounding laws. Chapter 1189. After a long time, Ning Cheng retracted his gaze that pierced through the void. His gaze fell on a jade basin suspended in the center of the tower. Within the jade basin, there was half a basin full of golden liquid. Boundless Taoist rhyme aura revolved around the golden liquid. More Tao runes condensed 10 feet away from the jade basin, forming a barrier that was like a heavenly moat. Ning Cheng walked over, raised his hand and easily tore through the barrier, and reached out to grab the jade basin. An extremely vast force suddenly blasted over, and Ning Cheng felt his body tremble. The Tao charm aura around him also dissipated and turned chaotic at this moment. This powerful force had almost blasted him out of the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance Tao Pagoda. What a formidable power of heaven and earth laws, Ning Cheng felt shocked in his heart. After he had advanced to primordial chaos and felt the boundless strength, he had become a little arrogant. This jade basin clearly contained the quintessential essence of the universe. It seemed like he could only take away the quintessential essence and not this jade basin. Instead, he took out the immeasurable gourd and raised his hand to send all the quintessential essence of the universe in the jade basin into the immeasurable gourd. Ning Cheng had advanced to primordial chaos, and even he had not expected the increase in his strength. With such a powerful primordial chaos Taoist rhyme, one could only imagine the power of a wave of his hand. Unfortunately, Ning Cheng's wave only brought up a drop of quintessential essence of the universe. At this point, if Ning Cheng still did not know that he could not take as much of the quintessential essence of the universe as he pleased, he would be too stupid. Although there was half a basin here, he couldn't take it away. The second time, Ning Cheng still only managed to take away a drop. Third time, fourth time, when Ning Cheng took the 18th drop, he could no longer take another drop of quintessential essence of the universe from the jade basin. Ning Cheng sighed, it looks like he could only take away 18 drops. He wondered if he would be able to take away 18 drops the second time he came up. However, Ning Cheng also knew that the possibility of taking away the quintessential essence of the universe a second time was very small. Ning Cheng had just put away the measureless gourd with some regret, when a powerful thrust blasted him out of the surroundings of the jade basin. The barrier around the jade basin was once again repaired. That powerful thrust seemed to be warning Ning Cheng that he had already obtained what he wanted. Does this pagoda have an artifact spirit? So nimble. Just as Ning Cheng thought of this, an even more terrifying law force erupted. Even if Ning Cheng used the mysterious yellow formless to sweep up the worldly law force into the mysterious yellow bead, it still couldn't stop this powerful law force. Ning Cheng gave an angry snort. Since I came up, I'll go down by myself. If you want to use the power of laws in this place to blow me away, then you can't. If he hadn't comprehended primordial chaos yet, then so be it. Now that he had advanced to primordial chaos, he had gained insight into his own Tao law. His strength had risen by countless times. It would be impossible for him to chase him away easily. Not even the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda could do that. Ning Cheng forcibly stabilized his body. At the same time, the mysterious yellow formless started to operate crazily. At the same time, a Tao-breaking spirit technique erupted. As if sensing Ning Cheng's crazy resistance, the pressure from the laws of heaven and earth grew stronger and stronger. Ka. Ning Cheng had just advanced to primordial chaos when he felt the power that despised heaven and earth. Once again, the power of heaven and earth's nomological power suppressed his bones until they cracked. Pooh! An arrow of blood spurted out, but Ning Cheng kept his feet firmly on the 18th floor. He didn't want to be blown away by this power. The mysterious yellow formless frantically ground away the surrounding Tao charm nomological power, and the law-breaking spirit technique surged out like a continuous wave. Kacha! Another crisp sound rang out, but this time, it wasn't the crisp sound of Ning Cheng's bones breaking, but the surrounding laws of heaven and earth shattering. No matter how strong and majestic the laws of heaven and earth were, they couldn't withstand Ning Cheng's crazy counterattack. Ning Cheng's law-breaking spirit technique had long since been perfected. Coupled with his advancement in cultivation, the law-breaking spirit technique blasted out continuously. No matter how strong the laws of heaven and earth were, he could still break through them. Ning Cheng felt the nomological power pressing down on him weaken instantly, and his entire body relaxed. Sure enough, it blocked. Although Ning Cheng's expression remained the same, his Tao heart had once again sublimated. The primordial chaos aura also completely stabilized at this moment. At this moment, his fate was in his own hands. Even the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda couldn't blow him away casually. Feeling the unfriendly nomological aura on the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda, Ning Cheng smiled and calmly took out several medicinal pills and swallowed them. Under the circulation of the mysterious yellow formless, the injury had already disappeared. It wasn't until he felt that his injuries had completely disappeared that Ning Cheng calmly stepped out of the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda and landed on the square outside the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda. The moment his feet touched the ground, Ning Cheng's heart filled with lofty sentiments. From the moment he left Earth until today, he finally didn't need to rely on others for his strength. If that Ao Beijiang dared to talk nonsense in front of him again, he would not hesitate to kill him with his spear. Standing at this height, he had the confidence and strength to do so. Did I see wrongly just now? I saw a golden dot flash on the 18th floor. A cultivator standing in front of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao steel rubbed his eyes and called out in horror. Why don't you say that you saw the essence of the universe? Someone next to him mocked. The cultivator who rubbed his eyes said with certainty, I didn't see wrongly. There really was a golden dot flashing on the 18th floor. Then why don't you ask someone else to take a look? The cultivator who rubbed his eyes said one word but didn't know what to say. He was completely stunned just now. A golden dot had flashed on the 18th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda, which meant that someone had entered the 18th floor. How was this possible? I suggest that you quickly enter the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda. Maybe you can go to the 18th floor yourself. The surrounding laughter rang out, causing the other cultivator who was about to speak up to subconsciously swallow his words. He had also seen a golden dot flashing on the 18th floor, but he didn't dare to say it. Ning Cheng walked out of the crowd in a happy mood. He didn't want to stay in the Heavenly Alliance Star City. He planned to ask around in the Heavenly Alliance Star City to find a teleportation array that could take him directly to the heavens beyond of mysterious yellow. Senior. A flattering voice called out from behind Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng looked back and saw the old fogey. To be honest, he thought that the old fogey had already escaped. With the old fogey's craftiness, how could he continue to stay in the Heavenly Alliance Star City after leaking the Heaven and Earth Cauldron? Hey, old fogey, you're still here. Ning Cheng subconsciously said. The old fogey walked to Ning Cheng's side with a smile and said carefully, Senior told me to wait here. This junior didn't dare to leave at will. Ning Cheng looked at the old fogey in a new light. This fellow was a man of his word. Ning Cheng had underestimated this fellow before. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng patted the old fogey's shoulder in a good mood. Not bad. You have a bright future by following me. When you're free, take out your Heaven and Earth Cauldron and show it to me. Ning Cheng knew that the Heaven and Earth Cauldron was the old fogey's weakness. As long as he mentioned the Heaven and Earth Cauldron, the old fogey would definitely sneak away. He had too many things to do, and it wouldn't be convenient to bring the old fogey with him. To Ning Cheng's surprise, the old fogey smiled awkwardly and said, Senior can see the Heaven and Earth Cauldron, but there are too many people here. The Heaven and Earth Cauldron is this junior's life-bound weapon. When there's no one around, Senior can look at it. Even if Senior wants to take it away, this junior is willing. The old fogey felt even more sure that Ning Cheng had concealed his cultivation. Otherwise, how could Ning Cheng advance to Primordial Chaos Holy Emperor in the blink of an eye when he was not even at Primordial Chaos Realm 10 days ago? Hey, old fogey, you've become more generous. Not bad, not bad. Let's go. Since you're so generous, I'll treat you to a drink today. Let's go to the transfer point and ask around. Ning Cheng didn't expect the old fogey to become so easy to talk to. Did he misread this fellow before? The old fogey followed behind Ning Cheng but didn't dare to raise his head. He could only sneak a peek out of the corner of his eye. That cultivator kept using his spiritual consciousness to check on the people entering and leaving the square. No matter where he went, he would fall into that person's spiritual consciousness. At that time, he could only rely on Ning Cheng to help him block this disaster. Just when Ning Cheng was about to walk out of the square with the old fogey saw the person he feared turn around and leave from the corner of his eye. The moment that person turned around and left, the old fogey almost vomited blood. That person had been here for more than 10 days, but just when he called out to Ning Cheng and followed behind Ning Cheng, he left. If the other party had left a moment earlier, he wouldn't have called out to Ning Cheng. Sure enough, he had to admit that he was unlucky. Old fogey, you don't look good. Is there something wrong? Ning Cheng noticed something wrong with the old fogey and asked aloud. The old fogey quickly waved his hand and said, It's nothing, it's nothing. Senior has a restaurant, and I heard that the wine is quite good. This junior will borrow this restaurant to celebrate Senior's ascension to the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda. The old fogey pointed to a restaurant not far from the square. He had been hiding in the crowd these days and had only heard about it from others. He had never been there himself. Others might not know who could set foot on the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda, but the old fogey didn't need to ask to know that it must be Ning Cheng. Besides Ning Cheng, who else could set foot on the 12th floor of the Heavenly Alliance's Tao Pagoda? When a cultivator standing not far away from the two heard this, his eyes revealed a look of pleasant surprise. He quickly retreated and disappeared a moment later. Ning Cheng didn't care about it. With his current strength, even if people knew that he had just come down from the 18th floor, no one would dare to do anything to him. It looks like this restaurant is really good. As soon as Ning Cheng and the old fogey stepped into the restaurant, they could feel the booming business. A rich aroma of wine wafted over, and Ning Cheng really wanted to drink a few mouthfuls. "Buddy, give us a booth." The old fogey raised his hand and threw a storage bag to the waiter at the door while calling out loudly. The waiter grabbed the storage bag and knew that it contained goods. He quickly said, "The booth is gone, but there is still an empty seat in the hall. 2 Dao friends, hurry up and take a seat. Otherwise, it will be gone in a while." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.